Morning to my online students as well who are watching on the Zoom as well as YouTube. So, a very good morning and hope that this session turns out to be productive for you and it converts into marks and ultimately your rank in the exam. That is the whole agenda of conducting this session. Now, you know the reason why you are here. You are here because for quite some time I will talk about how to approach economics as a subject. The occasion that I have selected to pass on this information to you is the launch of my economics module batch. But before I launch all that, I want to share a few things with you that if you want to study economics, what should be your approach? What should be the resources? How should you go about it? What are the things that you should not be doing when you prepare for economics? And why there is so much of, sort of negativity around the subject that it's difficult or technical. So I'll tell you a different way to approach the subject. And at the end, after telling you the ways, I would like you to solve some questions with me so that you also get to see firsthand that is it possible to handle economics with a smile on your face without taking any stress. So that we will see live firsthand in the class. So am I audible now? Right? Awesome. Thank you. So guys, without wasting time, because I feel that for UPSC preparation, every second is crucial. Because every second that you waste in doing something which you should not be doing, that could have been used to do something which will take you close to your exam. So time waste is something which we will not do in the class. I also won't teach using any memes, etc. It will be absolute raw form of economics for UPSC preparation. And mind you, when you attend such sessions, your expectation from these sessions should be not to gather only the real knowledge of the subject, but to gather the knowledge of the subject which takes you closer to the exam actually. So your knowledge and exam has to be connected. Otherwise, it completely defeats the purpose of attending such sessions. So let us see without wasting time what I have prepared for you. So the first thing is this. I know that, sometimes data can be misleading. But I also know the fact that data also give away a few important lessons which act as a guiding force for us. So if you look at this data, I'll come out of the frame, guys, so that you can have a good view and look at it very carefully. So see, it says there are these important subjects in UPSC prelims. I'm talking about prelims first. So economics, polity, geography, environment, science and technology, history and culture I have clubbed together. Then IR, because IR has become a very important part, whether it is through maps or it is through simple questions, but IR is a very important component of prelims now. And then you have miscellaneous current affairs where they will ask you some schemes or some questions which directly does not fit into a subject. Like they will ask you that who is the author of this book, or they will ask you the question that, which sports personality won this award, etc. These are the kind of things they will ask you. These are miscellaneous current affairs. So now focus here, guys. So see, if you look at the questions, I have mapped this question from 2015 onwards because 2014 was the time after which the pattern changed. So that is why I have taken 2015. Later on, I'll tell you that according to me, which are the years, I'll give you the answer of that question, which are the years which you should focus when you prepare for economics. Every subject will have a different time frame, but for economics, I'll tell you which year should be your focus. So now see, guys, if you look at 2015, let's look at the weightage of economics because we are here for economics today. So you look at the weightage of economics, 18, 25, 25, 25, 24. This is aberration. Normally, exams are not conducted like this, that 1/4 of the paper or more than 1/4 of the paper belongs to one subject. Despite being an economist and despite the fact that we are here for economy, I would not advocate such a type of paper setting where one subject is given undue importance. I believe it is not fair. According to me, a fair distribution is something which is here, which means that since you are preparing for UPSC, you are going to be an officer. How can I say that one subject is more important than another? It should not be the case. So if I have to solve a social issue which does not directly involve economics or money, I say so everything is related. But if I have to involve myself into something which is related to social justice, etc., without using money and all, so I would use GS paper 2. Then my papers like polity, governance, social justice, these papers become important. So that is the reason that I feel that one paper getting undue advantage is not a great idea. But I'm also happy that economics is getting that importance. First of all, being an economist, obviously I'll be biased. Every human is biased, whether I show it or not. So I'm obviously very happy. Second reason which makes me happy is that I know, since I have spent so many years in the subject, that if I pass on the right tricks to you, it's easy for you to score in the subject. That is also the reason that I'm very happy. Now, 24, 25, 22, 14, 18. So you can see the importance has been rationalized. Even today, if I take the average number of questions being asked from economics over last 10 years, so the average comes out to be roughly around 20. See, 20. Even if it goes down, average goes down, it becomes 19, 18, 16. Even then, it will be the highest. So at the worst case, economics is going to give you 1/4 of your paper in prelims. That goes without saying. On some occasions, it has gone down to 14, but that's only once that it happened. It has just happened once. So 21, 17, etc., which makes out to be 20. Now let's look at other subjects. Let's look at polity, for example. Polity, 14 questions. I was doing this averaging 3 years back. The average number of questions asked from polity 3 years back used to be 9 to 10. It has increased to 14. Then it became 12. Then it became 14. Its importance has increased actually. So silently, its importance has been increased. So economics from 25 has become 2021, and that 4 that we lost went to polity. So if you ask me frankly that which are the two core areas which are technical in nature and you should have a hands-on command on those subjects, one is economics and one is polity. I'm not saying that geography is not important, science is not important. I mean, we cannot have ISRO functioning without science. So I would be a fool if I tell you that only polity and economy is important. Absolutely not. But I'm not talking about subjects. I'm talking about UPSC. And in UPSC, without understanding polity, governance, how the government decides how they function, and how the economy actually helps the government to function, without understanding these two, I do not feel that doing justice to this exam is possible at all. And numbers tell you that story. Now, again, if you see the other part, let's look at the average. Average is a good idea. Look at this, 13 and 14. This is geography and environment. 13 plus 14, 27. So if you want to focus on UPSC, you can see how you have to study in blocks. So for example, this is economy, this is polity, this is geography and environment. Then you can see history, you can see science and technology, you can see IR. IR 6 questions. Can you believe it? Average 6 questions. It goes to 7, 8 also, sometimes 2 also, but average is 6, which is very good. And miscellaneous is 4. This is the composition of your paper. I feel it is much more balanced than earlier because every subject is getting its due importance. But again, economics. It is important. Now, let's come back. So first we have seen that what is the importance. So we should keep this in mind. I'm not saying that it is not possible that in one UPSC prelims only 10 questions might be asked. It is possible. But we are not talking about odd ones out event. We are talking about average events. An average event tells you that you can fairly expect around 20. Achha, what is the other advantage of this subject? This is going to blow your mind away. The other importance of this subject is half of your newspaper is economics or it talks about something related to economics. This is where the subject becomes very important. I'll tell you something more bizarre. Almost a big part of your career, you are going to invest in the government talking about management of resources through good governance. Again, economics. But you will always see that polity is the twin sister or twin brother of economics. They go together. So if this subject gives you a lot of confidence, polity also somewhere, not directly, but money bill, finance bill, budgeting, all those things, you become good at it. Distribution of resources, finance commission, you get so mature in the subject if this becomes good for you, right? Now let's go back and let's see what more I have got for you. As I told you that I won't waste your time. We have to extract some value from every minute spent in the class. Look at this, please. So this is the distribution of the types of questions which are asked in prelims. So 100 questions are asked in prelims. Look very carefully. 100 questions are asked in prelims. Out of 100 questions, how many questions test your concept, which are called as static areas? For example, what is the definition of liquidity in the economy? What is the definition of repo rate, reverse repo rate? These are called static concepts. So in static concepts, if you see the UPSC pattern, roughly 70% questions are static. Which means that if anybody tells you that only current affairs is important, that's absolutely incorrect. I can show you something more today. And it will act like an eye-opener for you so that it will guide you towards preparing for the exam in a better way. So static area, 70%, current affairs, 30%. And the source of this current affairs is newspapers, some magazines like Down to Earth, and then government portals, government reports like Niti Aayog reports, economic survey, budget. These are the resources for this current affairs. So 70% static, 30% current. But in this also, there is a catch. This catch I will show you. So I have got so many examples for showing you this catch, which very few people observe. So see, If you look at this Venn diagram, this is the static part, this big circle. In this static part, I have split 70. This 70 I have split into two parts, 60 and 10. So 60 plus 10, 70. I'm keeping the only current affairs part strictly away. This is the only current affairs part. But it has nothing to do with static. I'm keeping it at 30. But there is this type of question which has some elements of current and some elements of static. This I call as hybrid question. And this is the most dangerous type of question. So I'll tell you why this is very dangerous. If I'm an examiner and I want to find out who is the most ready aspirant for this year to enter the services, so that as a government, I'll feel confident that whatever they have learned in last 1 or 2 years, they can apply it easily. You can apply the current, you can apply the static part, you can apply interlinkages between various subjects. If you have that ability, I want to find out who is that candidate who has the ability to connect two different topics, to connect static with current, to use static knowledge to interpret the current events. I want those type of candidates. Which question will I increase in the exam? I will increase this question, the hybrid part. Because the hybrid part gives me a great opportunity as an examiner to test whether you know the static areas or not. And second, in the same question, I will ask current affairs also to see if you are updated or not. And so first option will be static. Second option will be current oriented, related to that question only. Third option will be where I'm asking a question on inflation, but I'm connecting it with exchange rate. So in the same question, I will give three statements. The first will be, how do you measure inflation in the retail market? CPI, that will be my first option, that CPI measures retail inflation. First option, static area. The second option will be, in last 1 year, the CPI has exceeded 4%. Current affairs, yes. Third option, when inflation is high, the value of the currency goes down. Yes. So this is interlinkage between two topics. In the same question, I tested static, I tested current affairs, and I have tested your interlinkages capability as well. This is the most dangerous type of question for any exam. And why do examiners increase the weightage of such questions? Because through one question, I can test 2-3 qualities that is inside you. So if somebody says, I will not study current affairs, okay, then you lose out on these 10. And you lose out on these 30 also. 40 questions gone. If somebody says, I will not study static, oh, if you don't study static, 60 gone, and most probably this 10 also gone. And have you heard from various candidates, various friends or seniors of yours saying that I read a question in the exam, the prelims part, I read 3 options, I knew 2, I didn't know 1. The reason is 90% of the time, the question was like this, where multiple things were tested and you could not handle it because the preparation was not done in the right manner. So this is the most difficult and the gray area. Let me give you some examples. And to my online students and offline, I'm sure that you must be having one handout. So I'm going to show you some questions, MCQs, etc. Later on, we'll talk about mains. So if you can open your handout, you will see the questions which I'm going to discuss. See this, please. So first, I'm going to talk about the static areas. What are the examples of some of the static questions that are being asked in UPSC these days? And by the way, I'll take all your doubts, whatever confusions and doubts are there. Once I'm done with this, I'll definitely take all your doubts and queries. But first, let's participate and try to see how to navigate in the subject preparation so that we get close to our target of qualifying the exam. These are the static questions, guys. And I need 2 of you on the stage with me. So any 2 of you who wants to come on the stage, be ready. Because after 2 minutes, I'll invite you here so that 3 of us can help the remaining friends to understand how these questions can be answered without using a formula, without using any technicality. You can answer literally any question of economics. We will see all those things. So let's read the first question, guys. Careful, okay? So we'll read it very carefully so that we are able to understand the question at least. And there is a reason I have selected this question, because in my experience, when I speak to a lot of kids, I get to know that there are some topics which scare you. One of them being capital market. I have seen best of people shivering and shuddering in the name of capital market, inflation and all those things, GDP, GNP, calculation and all. So I thought, why not take, and plus there are a few concepts like money multiplier, credit creation by a bank. These are the things which trouble us. So I thought, why not take questions from UPSC, which has been asked from these areas, and let us see in the class live that how to handle it without, creating a lot of stress in your head. So the first question, which is, consider the following statements. This is this year's question, which is 2025 UPSC Prelims. There are three statements. Statement number one, let's take it seriously. Statement number one, it says, consider the following statements. As regards the return from an investment in a company, generally, bondholders are considered to be relatively at lower risk than stockholders. But what is the method of solving questions? The method of solving questions in economics, I'm talking about economics today. The method of solving question in economics is, the moment you read the question, you immediately start to mark the keywords. How do you know what is a keyword when you read such statements? The first thing that you have to identify in a question is stakeholders. Stakeholders means who are the participants in that question or situation which is given in the question. So who are the participants, Bacho? Please answer. Online and offline guys, please type. Who are the participants? First is bondholder. Very nice. Good. And the second is stockholder. Brilliant. Now, these are the two things. Now, what is the event? So what is the method of finding the keyword? First, you always find stockholder or stakeholder. Sorry, stakeholder. Stakeholder. Who is at stake? That's number one. So first is bondholder, second is stockholder. These are at stake. These are the participants. The second thing that you have to identify in a question is what event is happening in the question. So I am saying bondholder and I am saying stockholder. That means somebody has sold bonds and somebody has sold stocks. So the event is that something is being sold. And when you sell something, you get cash. So somebody is selling something called as bond and stocks, and that somebody is getting cash in the pocket. So I sell bond and stock and I get cash in my pocket. This is happening. So you have to know that where that word has been placed in the statement. So immediately in half a second, you can see that, acha, okay, nice, a company is doing it. And what is a company doing? A company is selling bonds and shares. So company is the stakeholder. Then there is another stakeholder called bondholder. There is another stakeholder called stockholder. These are the three participants. I am the company. On my one side, there is somebody who bought bonds. On my other side, there is somebody who bought shares. Three stakeholders. There are three participants. What are they doing? Buying and selling. And why do people buy and sell? When they are in need of money. But why will you give me money? You will give me money when you expect something in return. And that return should be as safe as possible. Then only you will give me money. That is mentioned here. See, as regards to return from investment. So why is this guy who is having bond or this guy who is having shares giving money to me? Because they are expecting some returns in a positive sense. This is the first statement. So in the first statement, when you read it, just mark it. Don't do anything. Just mark. This is the best way to solve question. Second statement. Now we see the magic at the end. Second statement says bondholders are lenders to the company, whereas stockholders are owners. We have already marked the word bondholder and stockholder. So we will not mark it multiple times. It will make our paper chaotic. Now we will mark some unique word which is mentioned here. So what is the unique word? Lenders and owners. Brilliant. These are the two unique words we have identified. Now the story is coming out. So on one hand, there is somebody who is giving me money. I am giving bonds. There is somebody who is giving me money. I am giving shares. Now the question says that who is owner, who is lender? They are trying to find out. Next, third statement. For repayment purposes. Oh, when you take money from somebody, you have to return also. That's called repayment. So for repayment purposes, bondholders are prioritized over stockholders by the company. Which means in the first statement, it is simply saying that who is giving bonds and shares and who is giving money to whom. So bondholder and shareholder are giving money to company. That's the story, first part. The second part says who is the partner, owner, and who is the lender. That's the second part, little technical. And third part says when the company has to return the money, what is the order in which money is returned? Are you understanding this? So these are the three things which are mentioned. I'll show you what will be the approach to study economics or these kind of topics in the class. This is at least how I do it. And I suggest that you also learn this technique today through demonstration and you also apply it. If you apply it, you will see that you do not require any high fundas or formulas. See, I have studied all these things in finance, in various courses, etc. In masters, PhD, and MBAs. You study all these things. But why to use it when it is not required, right? You should use those things when you have no other option left. Then use the big formulas. When using common sense, you can solve a question. Why not do that? Chalo karte, let's do it. So guys, any two of you can come on the stage. Yeah, please come. You want to come? Yeah. Or you want to come? Come, please. Don't worry, I will not embarrass you. This is not a stand-up show, so it's fine. You are safe. Come. Yes, I remember you. Very nice. So say hi to your friends, online friends. You also come. So welcome to the class, guys. Say hi to your friends. Nice. So now I give you 100. I give you 100 as well. Say I'm treating you equally. This is called social justice. Right? Come in the frame. Come in the frame. I'll show you something interesting which is going to happen now. You keep standing here. Guys, focus on the activity that we three are doing. What's your name? Aditya. What's your name? Ram. So Aditya and Ram. Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you my name. Jayant. Right? So Aditya and Ram, I'm going to play a small game of finance, capital market, and I want an answer from you, my online friends and offline. You give me the answer. I'll be quiet after telling you the situation. Ab dekho the answer. See carefully. I'm talking to Aditya and telling him that, hey Aditya, can you lend some money to me? And I promise you that I will return the money with 10% rate of interest. If you lend me the money, I promise that I'll return the money to you with 10% extra. Will you give me the money just like that, or would you like to have a proof? He says he needs proof. He doesn't trust me. That's the point. Very innocent kid. Now, since he does not trust me, what will I do? I'll take a piece of paper and I'm going to write it here that I promise that today I'm taking 100 rupees from Aditya, but I promise that exactly after 12 months, I will return his 100 rupees, which is the face value principal, along with 10% extra. This is a promise. I promise. I put a signature and give it to you. Will you trust me? Yes? He's very innocent. Right? So I'm promising him. He's not even understanding. You are so innocent because promises are meant to be broken. Hey, look at this. He knew the formula. Right? How do you know? Right? So I'll tell you. So apply the same formula. You should tell me that why you are promising that you will return the money. You are simply writing it on a piece of paper. So tomorrow, if he gives me 100 rupees and I run away with the money, I go to London. I watch Wimbledon there. I do everything, party and all, but I don't come back to India. What will you do with this piece of paper? Are you understanding the problem? Right? So now he is saying that promises are meant to be broken, and we have seen that. Like somebody took like 9,000 crore from SBI. Gone. Right? I can't name. Right? So what will he do? So he will tell me that you, mister, if you are taking 100 rupees from me, you please write on the back side of this paper that if you fail to return 100 plus 10%, then he has the power to sell some of my properties and recover his money. He needs an assurance. He needs a backup, right? So I'll put some properties. That, okay, these properties ka name I'm going to put. This paper I'm going to give it to him. Take the paper, please. What is the name of this paper, Aditya? This paper is called as bond. Now there is a bond between us. What is the bond? What is the connection between us? He will give me 100. So give me 100. Very nice. Money is very difficult to give. Right? So he's giving me 100 rupees. I gave him a piece of paper. This paper is called as bond. This paper comes with a promise that if I fail to return the 100 rupees at the back side, example, at the back side in a non-technical way, it is written that why if I fail to return the money, he can sell some of my, not all my properties, some of my properties whose value is 100 plus 10% extra, and he can recover the money. So now this 100 rupees is with me. I have promised him that in future, I'm going to give him 100 plus 10. But in future, not now. So I'm going to keep it, right? He's very happy because he's assured. Is he assured that he will get the money back? Are you assured? 100% yes. Because either he gets the money back or he gets the property. Is he safe or is he at threat? 100% safe. So in whatever part of the world I travel from today, does it really matter to you? No, it doesn't matter. That's why he told me, he gave me 100 rupees and he took the bond. Very smart. He's very emotional. Ram is very emotional. So I called Ram and I told Ram that, Ram, let's be partners. In my company, I want him to be my partner. He is the person who has lent money to me. I owe him the money back. But to him, I'm not saying that I need money from you. I'm saying that I need partners. He's saying, okay. So, bro code. He's my bro. Because he has agreed to be my partner. Say, bros behave like this. But bros swim and sink together. That's what bros are. If we do well, we'll do well together. If something goes wrong, we'll sink together. That's bro code. So I'll tell you what bro code will do to us. So Ram, you are a very innocent kid. Can you share 100 rupees with me? Because he's innocent. He definitely shares 100 rupees. See, I told you. He's very emotional, right? So 100 rupees in my pocket. He says, what about me? I give you 100, what do I get? So I'll tell him that you get a piece of paper which shows that we have a bro code. That piece of paper is called share. Why? Because now we are going to share, or we are going to together run this company. So we are going to share the ownership chair. So on the ownership, there will be 2 ownership chairs now. One chair I'm going to use, one chair he's going to use. Bro code after all, right? So when I took his 100 rupees, I gave him a piece of paper called as ownership paper or share. Did I make a promise to him that I'll return your money? Why should I return? He's my bro now, right? Bros have to suffer together. Sorry, bros grow together. Reality comes out unknowingly. I didn't want to scare him. So Aditya and Ram, who is safe? If something wrong happens to the company, who is safe? He is safe. And you know the reason why he's safe. That's why he's smiling. He's worried. He says, what about me? So I tell him that, see, it's like guys, there is a big family, like Aisa Kuch, there is a family. Now, he's the guest. In the family, there is only one cup of coffee. And that cup of coffee can either be consumed by me, him, or him. But we are family, right? He has come only for 1 year. He gave the money, he'll take the money, he'll go back. He's a guest. You treat the guest with respect. And plus, you made a promise to the guest that whenever you come to my place, I'll give you a cup of coffee. So when the company makes profit, first money will be given to him, right? If something is left, then we do. Similarly, anything sold in the company, when company receives the money, he will have the first claim, and then we. If entire thing goes to him, nothing is left, we can't have anything to share. So we benefit together, we lose together because we are family. Bro code. That's what bro code is. So now UPSC is asking the question. Look carefully at the question. So Aditya and Ram, thank you so much. Because without you, this explanation was not possible, right? So thank you so much. And I'll call you again if I need. Thank you. So guys, let's read the question. And now you have to give the answer to my online kids as well as offline. You please give the answer. I will not. So please tell me, statement number 1, it says, as regards returns from an investment in a company, generally, bondholders are considered to be relatively at lower risk compared to stockholder, yes or no? Oh, wow, you know the answer. Amazing. Who says capital market is tough? I know I have used some layman arguments, etc., to answer the question, but they were technically correct. It's just that the language was easy, but technically it was not incorrect. It was absolutely correct. That is the foundation of shares and bonds. Second, bondholders are lenders to the company. Aditya, is he my bro or is he a lender? Lender, brilliant. So you are the lender, you gave me money. Now, whereas the stockholders are owners, Ram, he was the stockholder. He's my bro now. So he's the owner. He's one of the owners of the company. Absolutely correct. Second statement is absolutely correct. Third, for repayment purposes, whenever a company has to return the money, who gets the priority if at all money is returned? Bondholders. Why? Because there is a promise and we are in debt. The company has made a promise to the bondholder, by whatever happens, I'll return your money first. That's the reason that this statement is also correct. Now, we'll talk about all these things, that which statements leads to what later on. But I wanted you to, I wanted you to get a feel that this is how you should do capital market. So if you ask me frankly speaking that how should you handle this subject called as economics, according to me, the best method to handle economics is in the first stage of your learning, whether you have the prior knowledge or not, it really doesn't matter. But if you're preparing for UPSC, you always start afresh as if you are just starting. That should be your feeling. Then you become a good learner. So if, for example, you have to start learning economics, the best thing to do would be to start from logical arguments and simple stories with which you can connect. But your stories and logical arguments should not be technically wrong. It should be technically correct. If I would have been giving technically wrong stories in front of you in last 10 minutes, then I would not have received the right answer from you, because you would have found the fallacy. You would have said, but sir, this is illogical. But you only gave all the points. I only told you that somebody is giving money, he is my bro. Who is he? Is he my part-time owner, or is he my owner, or is he a money lender? You said he is also your owner. He is your bro. Bros are owners. Obviously, this is logically correct. So when a company needs partners or owners, they sell shares. When a company needs loan, they sell bonds. As simple as that. But if I'm a company who believes that I do not need any bros, because when bros will come, they might affect my decision, That kind of company does not sell shares. So I'm giving you an example. See the connection. I'm extending this argument. You'll be very happy to know this argument. So imagine that your faculty is initiating a startup. I'm just initiating a startup. And this startup is going to work in the field of health sector. But in my mind, I feel that I have a certain section in mind. I'll tell you which section. So in my mind, I have decided that I'm going to work in hilly areas. My startup, which gives health services, will only work in hilly areas. Why? Because we see that due to climate change, due to the human activities, falling of trees, unnecessary urbanization, concrete jungle that we have created, go to Uttarakhand and you will see what is the condition these days there. Those people are suffering, the people in the hilly areas, not because of their problem, but because we created a problem for them. So wherever you go in the country today, in the hilly areas or tribal areas, 100% they are suffering, and 99.99% reason that they are suffering is not them. It's because of us, for profit motive, tourism, for construction. We are destroying their ecosystem. So I want to give health services to those type of people who are there. So what I've done is I have started a company. I have hired some medical professionals, doctors who are equally passionate about helping the society. I have got funding as well. But then I realized that if I need best of doctors, I need to give them facilities. Otherwise, they will leave India one by one. Right? You see migration is happening in the country, and best of talent of the country is leaving. Right? So I'm worried that if everybody who is good in medical field, etc., they leave my company, they leave the country, who will help the society? How will the country progress? So I need to give them resources so that they stay. I need to give them research facilities, residential facilities, good condition for their children, their parents. This up to I have to provide. I need money. So what I do is, listen to it very carefully. I go in the market and I try to find out somebody who can be my bro, right? So I'm looking for bros that, hey, can you give money to me? Let's become partners and let's run this healthcare business. One bro enters my company with a smile on his face, gives me money, says, yeah, we'll run the company. And after 6 months, the bro says, why are you so worried about hilly areas and tribal areas? Because their profit is very less. I'll say that profit was never the only motive. The motive was different. That's why I chose that area. So the bro says, no, I have also given money. So I also need to decide where will the company work. I'll say, come on. You became my bro and partner because you were impressed with the idea. He says, at that time, yes. Today, I feel my emotions have changed. That's human mind, guys. Emotions change, people change. Right? You understand. Today, somebody is picking your call. Tomorrow, they might block your number. Very difficult to predict human emotions, right? Very vulnerable and volatile. So what happens? The bro says, let's change the model. I'll say, no, I will not. Then the bro says, let's split the company. Oh my God. The whole vision of my company destroyed. Why? Because I got a partner whom I should not have got. So be very careful in selecting the partners. And I mean, for the company. Right? It all matters in the long run. We are talking about economics. Good. You understand these things. Right? So if I ask you a simple question, that suppose the person who gave money to the startup is called as venture capital, right? So venture capital, I'm just giving a name to that bro who gave me money. So his name is venture capital. He gave me money. And I told him that I will give you ownership of my company. Now we two are running the company. But one day he decides that he does not like my idea. Earlier he used to say that you are the best. Now he's saying I don't like you. Right? So from the best, he doesn't like me. And he says, let's split. Very difficult. So a venture capital coming to a startup and started to dictate its terms. What happens to my vision? Finished. That's the danger of venture capital. And we have seen some of the best edtech companies in India and health companies in India failing because of the selection of questionable venture capital. So when you study startup and when you study capital market, you have to link them together. So if you only need money, if I'm a company who only needs funds and I know I can return the fund, I will go for bonds. I will sell bond, get money, return the money. But if I'm a company who feels that I need partners because alone I can't manage all these things, I need somebody to help me and guide me, then I will go for angel investment, I'll go for partners, I'll sell shares. But when you sell shares, be very careful about the people you are bringing in the company by selling shares, because they might start to dictate their terms during the board of directors meeting, and it might affect the vision of your company. You wanted to become a health startup, and what you become is medicine selling company. only for profit. That's not what you started for. Always remember why you started. है ना? Your friend is very emotional. He's taking names of the company. Let's not malign anybody's image, but this is in general. It can happen to anyone actually in life. Okay? Did you understand? So what did I tell you? The most khatarnak or dangerous type of questions are those questions where one topic is connected with another topic. There is a third topic which is connected to this. Let me tell you the name of the topic: foreign investment. Foreign investment. So whenever you prepare for UPSC, listen to it very carefully. This is lesson number 1. This is UPSC question, guys, 2025. And what did I show you? Without using an iota of a formula, no formula used, you can solve this question correctly. Did you? Yes? Awesome. Number 2, if UPSC has to create a difficult question out of it, or a tricky question, even if not difficult, but a tricky question, they will give one option from here. They will connect this with the startups, and they will introduce the word venture capital. And if they have to make this even more trickier, which is happening these days, what they will do: first option, capital markets; second option will be venture; and third option will be foreign investment, FDI. They will connect this with FDI. So what is the best way to prepare this topic called as capital market? Whenever you prepare capital market, you should study capital market, startups, foreign investment, and exchange rate together. So economics as a subject should never be studied chapter-wise. It should be studied theme-wise. Theme-wise. That's very important. So if you are studying something related to money, dollars, rupee, then every topic which is connected to it should be studied in a block. And you should select the theme which is money and connected ideas. So money and banking, capital market, startups, foreign investment, and balance of payments. These are the topics that should be studied together. If you do this, there is no doubt that every question that you answer in the exam will be correct. And what do we do when we start to prepare for UPSC? The first topic that we'll open, let's study micro. And we will start with demand and supply. Why? I didn't teach you demand and supply since 11. We have not even talked about it, yet you answered a very fierce question actually. Just listening to the story, you answered the question. So everywhere you do not need to follow that system. That system is followed when you are learning the subject for the sake of subject. But here you are learning the subject for the sake of exam. It's different. So did you get this idea? What is the first takeaway? In last 40-45 minutes, the first takeaway is that don't study chapter-wise, study theme-wise. And for that, you should know which chapters to put in one theme. Like I gave you an example. Okay? Did you understand this? Awesome. Let's look at this question. So this question says, consider the following statements. And it says, circular economy reduces the emission of greenhouse gases. Second question, circular economy reduces the use of raw material as inputs. Third, circular economy reduces the wastage in the production process. What is the meaning of circular economy? I'll give an example. You tell me the next step. Huh? I have produced a pen. I am a factory. I sell the pen to you. What will you do with the pen? Use it or throw it? Brilliant. So first step in the economic activity in our example is production. What is the second step? Use, consumption. After production, consumption. When this pen is entirely consumed, a price is 10 rupees, 20 rupees. It's entirely consumed. What do? Do you recycle? No, you don't. What do you do as a student? Logical. You throw it. You throw it, right? As a trash. So, trash. The trash collector collects the trash. Suppose the government of India says, I do not want to throw things. I want to reuse. And government of India says that whosoever collects the trash should divide the trash into biodegradable, non-biodegradable, reusable, non-reusable. They feel that it can be recycled, as he was saying. So from trash, you collect it, you get it recycled in a recycle plant. After you recycle, what happens? Again, it is sold back to you and you start to write with it. What helps in the economy? 2-3 amazing things that will happen if you do this. Amazing thing number 1 will be that wastage of material will be reduced. Otherwise, this will land up in sea, this will land up in rivers, this will land up in the landfill. It is not good for the ecosystem. So you have just followed sustainable development practices, right? Number 2, India is a signatory to Paris Agreement. And in Paris Agreement, we have said that we will reduce our carbon emission, we will not pollute the environment, right? And India follows Panchamrit goal, where we are saying that carbon intensity will be reduced, we will achieve net zero. These things, we will protect flora and fauna. Yes, so we have said this. So when you use less raw material, because same raw material is recycled multiple times, your carbon emission goes down. Because if you produce something from level 0, more carbon emission. If you just recycle, carbon emission also goes down. It's good for the economy and the society. All these options are correct. So if you read these options, you'll see in circular all these options are correct. What am I trying to do with you? I'm trying to do something with you today. My whole effort of the first few minutes, it's been 40, 50 minutes, for next half an hour as well, I'll do the same thing with you. What I'll do is, without using formulas, without using any techniques, I'm going to help you to understand the things in the perspective and take you to the level from where you can answer questions correctly. Without confusion, without stress, because what does this subject do to us? The moment you look at economy, big books, big material, big things, you start to get confused. What should I study first? Which NCERT should I study first? Why? We can study everything first, but there is no substitute of common sense. First, we will use common sense. First, we will convert everything into relatable stories. We'll convert everything into different set of arguments, and we will see that are we able to use the arguments effectively? If we can, our job is done. Ultimately, what is the goal? Ultimately, the goal is to learn the concept holistically and apply it to solve questions. That's it. Should we worry for the result? No. Result will come. But if you worry for the result, but not the process, result will not come. Result is a problem when you worry for the result. But when you worry for the process and when you indulge in the process, the end result has to follow. Where will it go? This year, that year, rank 1, rank 2, whatever number it is, it will come. So what should be your effort? The process. What should be your effort? The effort to understand the concepts, but in an honest manner, not by bluffing, right? What is bluffing? Bluffing would mean that I know I can do it, but I don't want to apply my mind because I belong to a tropical country, so I want to behave like a lazy person. Nah, don't do that. Right? So these are the two questions which I showed you. Let me show you a little more, and then I'll show you one more concept. So, bacho, this is a question from my side. It is given in your handout also. I want you to give me the answer of this question. This has not been asked in the exam. This is my question which I want you to answer. Please answer. Remember Aditya and Ram. To my online kids, remember Aditya and Ram, your friend who came here, and please answer. What is the answer? Let's read the question. Question says, consider the following statements regarding bonds and shares. Okay. But I did not teach you any bond or share. We have just discussed stories. It says bondholders can be called as real owners of the company, yes or no? Bondholders are real owner. Well, Aditya was the real owner. No, he was the money lender. How can he be owner? Owner means bro. He's not my bro. He's the money lender. First statement is wrong. Shareholders can be called as real owners of the company. Bro, partner, can be called as. Yes. So you gave the right answer. Now, why am I excited by your answer? Because without doing this topic in the class, we have not even started. You gave the right answer. So what am I trying to tell you? Again, I will repeat the same point, that there are two things here. The question says can be. Or there can be situation where this is not true as well. So when you study this chapter in the class for UPSC, the first thing that you should do is always study generic things. That what is the general meaning of shares and bonds? And how do you study general things? Through stories, through relatable examples, by connecting with your friends, with economy, newspaper, blah, blah, simple things. The moment this is done, then you study the technical things. Don't feel that technical things should not be studied. Technical things should definitely be studied, but only after this, which means in the class or whatever textbooks you are referring to, whatever class notes or whatever GS classes you are doing, the first thing you do is this. After your classes are over, now it is your responsibility that you read NCERTs, you read some textbooks or content material where technical things are given. If you open NCERT, no, it's not very easy. NCERT is like an ocean. Everything is there in NCERT. You should know how to extract things. Formulas are there, graphs are there, equations are there, complicated statements are also there, simple statements are also there. Once you study generic things, then you should study specific things. That by what are the types of shares? Equity share, preference share. What are the types of bonds that are used in India? At least 12 type of bonds are used in India. So there would be some share or some bond which does not fulfill this character. Yes, there is. So in that case, this statement becomes wrong. But why is this statement correct? Because it says can be. Smartly framed statement. So if you look at the UPSC statements given since the year 2018, आप देख लेना. If you open PYQs of 2018 onwards, you will see a change in UPSC pattern where UPSC has been asking more precise questions. Earlier, UPSC was asking questions like shareholder means owner of the company, right? Before 2018. But after 2018, UPSC says shareholders can be the owners of the company, which is technically correct. Because if all the time you are saying shareholders are owner of the company, what if the shareholder is not interested in ownership? I'm not interested in ownership. See, everything that you see here, no, is about human life. There can be exceptions. That is why, if you have to do PYQs for economy, I'll give you one homework as well. If you have to do PYQs from economy, you should do it from 2018 onwards. Before 2018, they were not asking wrong questions. But I believe that if you do from 2018 onwards, approximately your preparation would be on a right track. And whatever was being asked before 2018, that is already covered in the type of questions they are asking today. So if you want to reduce your effort and time that you are putting in the subject, 2018 would be a good year. Afterwards, if you do all the questions for economics, not for other subjects, I feel that it's decent. Whatever I feel is important before 2018, that I will do in the class. But whatever is important for you, if you are doing self-study or you are planning to do on your own, then your target should be to focus more on 2018 onwards and to focus slightly less on 2018 before 2018. Thoda less, but 2018 onwards should be your major thing. Okay? This is how you save some time. So that's one advice for you. But I'm happy you gave the right answer. Now I want to do something with you. Before we proceed forward, thoda dikhata hu. Let me show you a glimpse. So guys, this is also some of the static questions which have been asked in UPSC. Let's see what questions have been asked. One question says, consider the following statement. Capital receipts create a liability. So see, capital receipt, borrowings and disinvestment, interest received. What topic is being asked here? As per you, budget. This is a question from budget, not the current affairs wala question. A static conceptual question from composition of budget. That how does the budget of India look like? So this is a static question. Now look at this question. It says, consider the following. In India, non-banking financial companies can access the liquidity adjustment facility window of the RBI. So it is talking about LAF, liquidity adjustment facility. Right. So from which area is this question being asked? Fiscal policy, monetary policy and banking. Monetary policy and banking. It is being asked from monetary policy and banking. What if I tell you the jugaad to answer all the questions related to monetary policy and banking? The jugaad is one diagram. And what is that one diagram? Anybody who understands this diagram can answer literally any question which is asked from repo rate, reverse repo rate, VRRR, or the question is asked from liquidity adjustment facility, interest rate corridor, marginal standing facility, bank rate. Any question related to that can be answered from here. Kaise? How? What is this line, lowest line? There is a name of the lowest line. See, I told you that today I'm not teaching you anything specific. Today I'm telling you how to study the subject. So if I can give you some funda which will help you to understand that what is the lowest interest rate which officially exists in India, lowest interest rate. And what if I give you a formula that you just need to know the lowest, you will know all the other. There is a formula, there is a relationship, which means you only need to understand this one or any one of them, and the others can be found. I'll give an example. This is called as, for example, in today's lecture, SDF. And I tell you that currently, example, SDF is equal to, let's say, 5.75. Hypothetical example. Now, what if I tell you that all these lines are placed at equal distance? And the gap between this line and this line, if I tell you that it is 0.25, this will also be 0.25. This formula exists in India. So can you tell me what will be the value of this line? 6. What will be the value here? 6.25. And this is 5.75. This is called as SDF. This will be called as repo. This will be called as MSF. This is also called as bank rate. Done. Over. I'll ask you one question just to tell you that through stories, without using deep. See, I told you there are two stages of learning. One is story, and the second is the technicalities. We always start with the story. So technicalities can follow. So my story for you would be simple example that suppose these are the three types of interest rate in the economy. I'll listen to it very carefully and I'll show you the use of this. There are three types of interest rate in the economy. First is SDF. Second is repo rate. These are all rates because they are percentage, no? And the third is marginal standing facility, three types of interest rate. Now I want to ask you a question. Suppose that government of India declares that MSMEs are very important for the country. You'll see the connection now, a beautiful connection. MSMEs are very important for India. Government says MSMEs are the backbone of the Indian economy for manufacturing. Now government of India says that if anybody buys anything from MSME, so guys, suppose you are MSME, all of you, online, Zoom, YouTube, and offline. All of you kids are the owners of MSME. And what are you manufacturing? Pen. What have I done? I am the buyer of your product. I bought the pen from you. I made a promise to you that the price of the pen is 100 rupees. I'll pay you the money in next 1 week. I did not. 1 week passed. I did not make the payment. Another week, no payment. Another week, no payment. Another week, no payment. It's been 2-3 months. I did not pay you. In the meanwhile, I bought another item from you. So along with pen, I bought a notebook as well from you. Again, did not make the payment. And if you don't raise your voice, I will make this my habit. Every time I'll buy something from you, I will not pay. And others will also see this. Other buyers will also not pay you the money. Because they will say, oh, you are not reacting. But one day when most of the MSMEs suffered, they reacted. They went to Ministry of MSME and they told the ministry that, hey, ministry, people in India, the buyers, they are buying products, they are not paying the money. Government said, Acha, they are not paying the money to you. They should. So let me send them notice. And government fixed a day that if you take anything from MSME, you buy them anything from them, but you do not make the payment for next 45 days. After 45 days, you will be served a notice. That why didn't you make the payment to him? So if you are MSME and I'm not making payment to you, government will give me a notice and say, please make the payment to MSMEs. First, you return the principal. Whatever is the value of the pen you return, plus punishment. Punishment will also be given to me. Why? Because I told you I'll return the money in 1 week. It's been 3 months. Punishment will be given to me. So now I want to ask you a question. If you are punishing me, bahut dhyan se bachcho, because I have not taught you anything technical, I'm just giving you stories. And from my online kids and offline, I need an answer from you. So for example, let's say the price of this pen is 100 rupees. The price of the pen is 100. I have taken the pen from you. So first thing I have to do is return your 100. Done. Clean. Then government says, you, whatever is the price, some interest rate you have to pay as penalty. So I want to ask you a question. When you punish somebody, you charge the lowest rate of interest, the middle rate of interest, or the highest rate of interest? When you have to punish somebody and change their behavior, highest. So in India, there is a scheme by Government of India called as Samadhan. Samadhan. It is being run by Ministry of MSME, and Samadhan says that whenever somebody defaults on the payment of MSME, the Ministry of MSME would serve a notice, and that person who has defaulted the payment first has to return the principal to the MSME by take your money, and then whatever is the highest rate of India, which is MSF or bank rate, this rate I have to pay to the MSME as a penalty. And Government of India says not this rate, but this rate multiplied by 3. 3 times this rate has to be paid as penalty. So if this rate is supposed at 7%, example 7. So I have to pay 7 into 3, 21% interest rate as punishment. Unbelievable. So what did you learn from here? If I ask you a question, and I know that you will be able to answer because you are smart kids, you are intelligent kids, can you please tell me out of these 3, which interest rate in India would be called as penal rate or penalty rate of interest? SDF, repo rate, or MSF? That's your answer. So if UPSC will ask you a question in the prelims by saying which of the following are the penal rate of India, they will give you 3 names, you know the answer. When you become an IAS officer, one day PMO will call you and tell you, hey, I'm creating a scheme. In that scheme, anybody who does not pay salary to the workers on time should be punished. You will say, yes, sir. Then PMO will tell you that, beta, you are the senior IAS officer. What punishment shall we give? Straight away, your answer should be, sir, the highest rate of India punishment rate is MSF multiplied with by 5. Right? And then the PMO will tell you, immediately you implement the scheme. And then you tell the PMO that, you're right, sir, because government has also not paid me salary since 5 months. Right? So what are we doing? Dekho bacho, what are we doing? Only one thing, very simple thing. We are trying to connect the real life events with simple logic and stories, and we are trying to find an argument that why is the government using this as penal rate? By highest rate can only be the punishment. When you have to punish somebody, you use this. When you have to reward somebody, and you have to be very lenient and say, okay, you are a nice person, I will not punish you, then you will use this rate. But when you have to be a little harsh and you have to change the behavior of somebody, then you will give this punishment and you will say, I'm going to punish you. Are you understanding this? So now in UPSC, if they ask you any question saying that this is the scheme which government has launched under which punishment rate is being used, which rate is the punishment rate of India? You know the answer. Answer will be only 2 rates, MSF and bank rate, and government will play between them. Currently, both are equal. So both are acting as punishments. Is it okay? So whenever you are studying something related to monetary economics or you're studying something related to banking, that's your answer. So what I have done is, for every topic, I have developed some tools. Like these things are not standard way of learning. You will not find this in a standard textbook, etc., because these are based on our experiences of how we interpret things in real life. So if you know these tools, like the share and the bond wala tool, which I told you by bringing Aditya and Ram. So same thing is this tool. So for every topic, there is a tool. For GST, there is a tool. It's called as framework. How do you develop that framework? I can share the secret with you as well. If you regularly study newspaper and you follow one content material from any GS class that you have attended, you have to connect your GS classes with newspaper over a period of time. Let's say 3 months, 4 months, you will develop your tool. Because when you study in the newspaper that government is punishing the people who don't pay money to MSMEs using MSF. And when you study your GS class notes taught by faculty, faculties will tell you in the class that the highest rate of India is MSF. Immediately your mind will connect. Acha, highest rate is MSF, punishment rate is MSF. Oh, that's the reason that whenever you have to punish, you use this. Connection established. So this is how you will do it. It will take you 3-4 months if you're doing on your own. That's not a problem. Anybody can do it. But I promise that I'll share some secrets of preparation, etc., how to go about it. So this is one of the methods which I use. Over a period of time, keep on studying, you will get the funda. I'll tell you second thing. This is one example. I'll tell you one more. So let's come back. So now do you know, oh, by the way, the question says LAF, Liquidity Adjustment Facility. What if I tell you something very interesting, that in this entire picture, what is LAF? Liquidity adjustment. Achha, do you continue to, or do you keep punishing people every day? Oh, I meet you, I punish you. You meet me, you punish me. Do we do that in real life? You meet somebody after very long, you'll say, oh, I punish you. We don't do that, right? This is something which we don't use normally. Which are the 2 rates that you will use normally? Repo and SDF. So whenever in the economy, somebody has to give money, take money, give money, take money, most of the time, which interest rate will be used? Either SDF or repo rate. So this distance between repo rate and SDF is called LAF, Liquidity Adjustment Facility. Done. Why? Because this is something which you use in normal life every day. You don't punish people every day. That's why it is called LAF. But then, this is also a rate, isn't it? So this is Liquidity Adjustment Facility. But since this is the highest rate of India, we should give a name to this also. That if somebody wants to find the distance between the lowest and the highest, what should be the name? So the gap between the lowest and the highest, absolutely, is called as interest rate corridor. Interest rate corridor, IRC. So the gap between MSF or bank rate or SDF is called interest rate corridor. And the gap between, the gap between these two is called as LAF, Liquidity Adjustment Facility. Now I want to ask you a question. Is it possible for UPSC to ask anything new from here which we have not done so far? It's not possible. Because there is no other concept which is left. We have done all. So if I give you the name of a new rate of interest in India, any rate of interest which is new, I'll do one example with you. So suppose I'm telling you that there is a rate of interest called as VRRR, variable reverse repo rate. So it is called as VRRR, variable reverse repo rate, which RBI uses sometimes. But I'm not giving you the definition of VRRR. I just want to ask you a question. In your opinion, based on what I taught you, what is the range where VRRR is most likely to be present? The LAF, which is the most general range, or the abnormal range, which is from here to here? Where will you find anything new in the economy? Abnormal or normal? Where do you find most of the things in life? Normal or abnormal? Normal. So if RBI has to introduce something, why will RBI introduce something abnormal? Abnormal is already there. It's already there. This is the abnormal, highest punishment. What can be higher than a punishment? Which means anything that RBI will create, since abnormal is already there, we don't need to create more abnormals. So what will RBI do? Most of the time, RBI will create normal things. And what is the range of normal thing? LAF. So if UPSC will ask you a question, what is the most likely range of existence of VRRR? Answer will be LAF. So VRRR will be somewhere here. Because RBI has already fixed the floor. Oh, by the way, this is the lowest rate of India. Hence, it is called as floor rate. And this is called ceiling rate. Everything is between floor and ceiling. So where will be VRRR? Without knowing the definition of VRRR, you can answer that question. VRRR will be most likely present here. Most likely it will be present here. And that's the correct answer. So whatever rate RBI would like to bring, unless it is very extraordinary. Extraordinary, it will be located here. And the question statement will be created in such a way that you will know extraordinary. Jaise, if UPSC gives you a question and says, RBI has just created an extraordinary ceiling rate. Oh, extraordinary plus ceiling. It has to be here. If UPSC says, RBI has created VRRR to manage something in the normal way of conducting its business. Normal created something here as your answer. So are you understanding that without using too much technicalities and formula, without knowing the definition of VRRR, you know where it will be located. Now, the only thing that you need to know in the second stage of learning is you just need to know the technical part, that what is VRRR, and done. And you will see that economics is easy. Are you understanding this? Next point. So guys, these two we have done. Ab dekho, look here. This is the question from 2025 UPSC Prelims. See this, please. 2025 Prelims. On one hand, left side, they have mentioned some sectors. On the right side, so on the left side, they have mentioned some economic activities. On the right side, they have mentioned some sectors. And UPSC wants to know that which is primary, which is secondary, which is tertiary. I'll give you one argument and then I'll ask you a question. One argument would be mining. I want to talk about mining. So what is the meaning of mining? Mining has 3 sets of activities inside it. So whenever somebody conducts mining, so go to Singrauli, go to Singareni, these are the areas for mining, you will find something interesting. You will find that whenever government or any private company has to find where is coal located, how do they find out? So they would hire somebody who is an expert using technology, using machines, who will do the survey and try to find out that which is that land form where maximum deposit of coal is present. Because you would not like to go and do the drilling part and excavation part in an area where the coal is so minuscule that the cost of mining is higher than the price of coal. This much coal is present in a place and you are using heavy equipments, investing 10,000 crore in mining this coal whose price is 100 rupees. You will never do that. So you need an expert, you need a consultant, you need a geologist who would understand, a person who is expert in geography, a person who is expert in handling some machines through infrared rays, etc. Different techniques, they find out where is the coal deposit present with good density. They are called as consultants. They are giving services. So any consultant who is giving you services will not be called as primary or secondary. That will be called as tertiary. So in the field of mining, there are some people who are experts who give their services as well. That is called as tertiary. Now, whenever you extract coal from the ground, raw form of coal, impure coal, you have not cleaned or washed it, that is primary. Because you are extracting something in the nature of raw material directly from nature. So extraction, pure extraction, it's primary because you have extracted something from nature directly without making any change. But the moment you extract coal, after that you need to clean it, wash it. You need to break it down into even small pieces so that you can transport it. And then you will put it in a place, store it, and then you will sell it to somebody. But you normally don't sell impure coal. What do? You clean it, remove the clay, remove the unnecessary parts, and then you wash it once, and then you sell it. The moment you washed it, you have changed the raw form. You have processed it. That's secondary. Which means there are three activities related to mining. One is primary, extraction. Secondary, matlab cleaning, washing. If you do it, that's secondary. And what is tertiary? Tertiary would mean that you took the help of an expert, a consultant, to find out where is the coal present. Or you took the help of somebody in selling the coal, a marketing expert. That's tertiary. So if UPSC is asking a question to me that where would I put mining operations? Where would I put mining? Depends. Depends. Because if somebody says that you are doing the marketing part of the mined minerals, tertiary, marketing part. If somebody says that you are doing mining, but the cleaning and the processing part, oh, secondary. But if you are just trying to extract the minerals, etc., from the ground, then it is primary. According to me, when UPSC asks a question in the exam, and you understand that there were some questions and the answers which were slightly controversial in nature in UPSC. According to me, when UPSC asks these kind of questions, they should be slightly more careful with the words that they are asking. Because when you use the word exploration, I can interpret it by saying that some expert is trying to find out where is the highest density of coal present. They are exploring. Yeah. Or I can also feel that after exploration, extraction has happened. But that's a far-fetched idea because question does not say that extraction has happened. It only says exploration. So I feel that this question could have been worded slightly differently by UPSC. Because according to me, there were 2-3 questions. I did not make any video on this because I saw that the moment UPSC makes one mistake or one controversy, 1,000 video comes in one day. I thought others are already doing the criticism wala job. Why should I do it? Right? So we should be more focused on positive things. So I believe that when we will prepare in the class, we will break down mining extraction. Yeah, this term. These kind of controversial terms will break down in the class, and we'll break it down into 3 types of economic activity, and we'll be more precise because you never know which word will be asked in the exam. And there are different exams like UPSC, state services, different exams. They prefer to ask such questions. According to me, this question could have been worded slightly differently because the options which are given in the question which is asked, according to me, it's not that great. So yes, there are some gray kind of questions also asked in UPSC. But just because somebody is asking gray question, or in some cases we have seen some wrong answers given by Abhi, to iska answer has not come by UPSC. But based on the options, when I am matching it, I feel that it could have been worded slightly differently. Or there is another theory which has been used. We will see all those things in the class, which means there are some areas of economics which are controversial. I'll tell you 2-3 controversial areas. One controversial area is primary, secondary, and tertiary activities where the words play a very important role. What has been mentioned, like mining, always leads to confusion. I have a code here which you use. You can crack these kind of questions. Second area which I'll tell you which leads to confusion. So far, UPSC has not played with it, but in future you will see. That suppose a foreigner comes to India and buys exactly 10% shares of Indian company. So for example, Mr. Bill Gates comes to India and he buys 10% shares of Infosys. Would you call Mr. Bill Gates as FDI, foreign direct investment, or foreign portfolio investment? Oh, the answer is not that easy because I have just taken the boundary case 10%. Below 10% is clear. Above 10% is clear. Exactly 10%. There was a confusion which was clarified by SEBI recently. So if I were UPSC, I will ask that question because that's also a gray area. So gray areas do exist in every subject. It exists in physics, chemistry, and mathematics as well, where you have to make some assumptions to get your answer. Similarly, economics. So the second area, according to me, which you should focus, it will definitely give you question, are the 7 to 8 gray areas of economics as per UPSC. So if you focus on them, one question almost every year is guaranteed. One being this, another being FDI. There are 5 or 6 more. So if you make a list of that throughout the entire syllabus of economics, you will see that every year, every second year, one question almost sure. I gave you one example of FDI. Now, there is another example. And that example lies not through one example, but that example you will find in the capital market. So for example, whenever a company is listed in the capital market, how many shares the company has to reserve for public? If a company is profitable, can they list? If the company is not profitable, can SEBI allow them and tell them, go and sell your shares? Like when Paytm was selling shares, it was not profitable. Like Zomato also. But they started to sell the shares. Paytm later on became profitable, again became loss-making. So what are the rules and regulations related to profit-making companies, loss-making companies? Can they sell shares to public? Should they sell shares? Should they not sell shares? Is it safe for public to buy those shares? These are the kind of questions which also fall in the gray areas. There are some gray areas here as well. And this is also asked in UPSC. I'll show it to you. You will find the gray areas in the exam. Inflation for that matter. Inflation has gray areas. So they will ask you some questions that this type of situation exists. Which inflation is being described? And you will see that headline inflation and core inflation will behave very closely. Sometimes it becomes very difficult to distinguish. That's also a gray area where more conceptual clarity and technicalities are required, according to me. So one thing that it's not about the question. Iska answer though I can give you in half a second. That's not the point. The point is that from this type of question, what do you get? You get those points that, okay, in economics, when I read NCRTs, when I read these basic things, I have to go to absolute basic definition. What is mining? What is squaring? What is agriculture? Basic things also. So in my class, guys, I always start with basics. And I know that I get a lot of criticism also sometimes that too basic. Yeah, because this is too basic. And this is too confusing. That 10% point is too confusing. It's too basic. UPSC asks these kind of questions. And I don't want to destroy my career by neglecting the basics. How can I neglect the basics? Tomorrow, you as an IAS officer will frame these definitions and rules for this country. If your basics are shaken and they are not very strong, India will shake up. Indian policy will be destroyed. Because then the basic definitions of repo rate, reverse repo rate will be wrong. A different kind of tax structure is applied for primary activities. And suppose by mistake, because your basics are not good, you put secondary activity in primary. Entire tax structure of India will be destroyed. So UPSC kids, I call you as UPSC kids, you have to be very careful about the basics. And then you have to build on the concepts and go to technicality. Aap samajho importance of basics. Now come to this part. Dekhiye, see this please. See how simple. You will laugh at it. You will smile at it. And then you will feel, okay, this also. So it says, it's like, guys, you come in the class online and offline, and I ask you a question that, hey, can you please tell me your name? I tell you first in the class, we meet, and I tell you that I'll ask you a very difficult question. You will say, okay, sir, ask difficult question. Then I'll tell you, please share your name. You will say, is this difficult question? I'll say, according to me, it is. And the moment you tell me your name, for example, Jayant Parikshit, I'll say, no, wrong. I asked you the nickname which your parents use. Ah, okay. Which means multiple answers. I didn't specify in the question. Hana? I asked you something very basic, but there was a trap. Read this, please. Consider the following: exchange traded fund, motor vehicles, currency swap. Which of the above is or are financial instruments? So there is a chapter which you prepare for UPSC called as financial market. What is the meaning of financial market? Financial market contains two markets: money market, capital market. What is the meaning of money market? Money market is an arrangement where people arrange money or resources for maximum up to 1 year or less than 1 year. When I take money from somebody, maximum for 1 year, it is called money. Like when Aditya came and Ram came. Suppose I'm taking money from Aditya for 9 months or 10 months. That's money market. When you take money from somebody for more than 1 year, that's capital market. And what did I do? When Aditya came here, I told him that I am ready to share bond to you. You please give me cash for 10 months. That bond which I gave him is called money market instrument, because it helped me to get money for less than 1 year. So the instruments which help you to raise resources for less than 1 year, money market. The instruments which help you to raise resources for more than 1 year is called capital market. Together they are called as financial market. So now UPSCs see such basic things. Every kid knows this definition. But UPSC said, no, I don't need definition. You need to tell me which of the following are a part of money market or capital market. How can motor vehicle be a part of it? Right? Motor vehicle is absurd. So what am I trying to tell you? Question answer type of questions. So what do you learn from here? These are all this year's question or last year question. I've taken only 3 years question for analysis. So what are you observing? They're asking absolute basic things also. Cannot ignore it. Right? Absolute basic definitions are being asked. This is one of them. Okay, come back here. Yeah, see this please. So those who are familiar with my classes earlier, etc., you know that these things I teach you through a lot of stories, that what happened to the world after Second World War. You know, countries started to come for a meeting called at Bretton Woods Conference. After Second World War, what happened? The Western countries, the European countries, along with Japan, etc., they got together and they said that let us rebuild the world. Second World War destroyed the world. There was a meeting called as Bretton Woods Conference. Why is it called Bretton Woods Conference? Because it was held in Bretton Woods. The name of the city is Bretton Woods. In that Bretton Woods Conference, representation was done by the Western countries, the Western powers, US, UK, Europe, all these countries came together. And what were they discussing? They were discussing, let us rebuild the world. Guys, when these powers, the Western powers, say that we will rebuild the world, there will definitely be an interest in that. Why do you want to rebuild the world? So they said, we want to rebuild the world because we felt that war has destroyed everything. So everybody said, oh, really nice, good idea. How will you rebuild the world? So they said, we will collect money together and we will give this money as loan to the poor countries. Or if the poor countries are not in a position to take loan, we'll gift them the money. And we will tell them, use the money to construct roads, bridges, etc. So what are these Western countries saying? Western countries are saying, after Second World War, so suppose these are the Western countries. So for example, let's say US, UK, Europe, etc. They got together and they contributed dollars. Who contributed more dollar? US. है ना? सबसे ज़्यादा dollars. They contributed dollar in a box. And they said, let's give a name to the box. The name of the box was IBRD. Right? And from this box, they said, we are going to give grant. Grant means gift. If there is a very weak country, India was also weak at that time. So they said, if you are a weak country, we'll give you gift. And using gift, you can construct roads, bridges, etc. So suppose India. Suppose this money goes to Sri Lanka. And they said, if you are, let's say, China, we'll give you money also. But China, you are not very weak. Example. So they said, China, we will give you loan. At very low rate of interest, 2%. So some grant, some loan. As a they said, we'll give you money. Grant never needs to be returned, but loan needs to be returned. So they said, this is how we will manage the system. This is called IBRD. This IBRD later on realized that, my God, I cannot do all this job. It's very difficult. It's very big. It's like giving one person the entire job of running the country. Not possible. That's why you need cabinet ministers. That's why you need IAS officers, so that the workload can be distributed and people can do specialized jobs. Right? So similarly, IBRD cannot do everything. So along with IBRD, other institutions also came, 1, 2, 3, 4, ऐसे करके 5 institutions called as World Bank Group. IBRD, IDA, International Finance Corporation, MIGA, all these things, institutions came together. IFC, all these came together. This is called as World Bank Group. So it started with IBRD, it became World Bank Group. Now, this is a very plain view of things, simple view of things. But this portion of the syllabus is not mentioned in GS paper 3. This portion of the syllabus is mentioned in GS paper 2. I'll show you. Yeah, these international institutions are not mentioned in GS paper 3. So World Bank, IMF, ADB, all these things are mentioned in GS paper 2. It's part of your IR. So which means you cannot study it like this. You have to bring the IR angle also. I mean, let me show you the IR angle here. Now think about this and you will smile. So if you are US, the first thing that you did when this body is being constructed is you put the maximum money here. You said, I'll give the maximum money. Take, I give the maximum money. The moment you put the maximum money, who will have the maximum control? US. So US by itself said, I am the most powerful country. Everybody said, yes, sir, you are right. At that time. And then US said, I'll give the maximum fund. Those who give the maximum fund take the maximum voting right. So US took the veto power and US said, I will have the maximum voting right. Okay, no problem. And then everybody said, sir, in future, if other countries also become as rich as you, will you increase their voting right? US said, yes. We will see. We will do reforms. So now US is controlling that body. Now see what has happened. Suppose India called this body called as IBRD and said, can I get some grant or loan to construct roads? Now see how capitalism works. So this entire body is being controlled by these countries, especially the G7. They said, yes, we can give you grant, we can give you loan, but just make sure that when we release the money to you and when you have to construct the road, you hire a company which is prescribed by us. So from these countries, a company will come to India initially. So they release the dollar to India. India gives the dollar to this company, which is a US company example. They construct the road, the money goes back. Wow. Right? Capitalism. So if you want to bring your PSIR angle, here's your PSIR angle. If you want to bring the IR angle, that how multinational corporations can erode a country's wealth, this is how they can erode. So how do you take advantage of these organizations? Should you destroy them? No. India never believes in destruction. What do we do? What do we believe in? Use, improve the efficiency, talk, manage, don't destroy. This is India's foreign policy. So how do you manage it? Simple. Yes, reform. So first thing that India did is, India says reform. Government of India, the government of India's experts like Dr. Rajan, etc., everybody says the same language here, reform. And who is that person these days globally who has been given responsibility to discuss all these things in detail, that which are the reforms which are required by IMF, World Bank? Who is that expert who has been given that sort of responsibility that, sir, you create a list of reforms which is required? There are two people. One is from US, Dr. Lawrence Summers, and second is Dr. N.K. Singh, who is your senior, a senior IAS officer from India, who also became the chairman of the Finance Commission. He was there in Planning Commission, he's a chairman of 15 Finance Commission, etc. So he's an IAS officer, Dr. N.K. Singh. So Dr. N.K. Singh and Dr. Lawrence Summers, they were given the responsibility. Lawrence Summers. When were they given the responsibility? When India chaired G20. Remember, India chaired G20. So in that year only, 2 years back, they were given the responsibility that Lawrence Summers and Dr. N.K. Singh, you create a list of reforms which must be available for IBRD, World Bank, IMF, Asian Development Bank. So they created a list of reform and they released it in 2 volumes. 2 volumes have been released. We have to study that for GS paper 2. So what I do is in my GS paper 3, since I'm not teaching GS paper 2, I'm teaching only economics, but I will integrate that in the economics class as a separate thing. But I believe that it should be integrated. Whether it is part of 2, 3, I don't care. What I care is it is important for the exam, so we'll do it. So this is how you should do it. But if you are doing GS paper 2 all by yourself, then I strongly suggest that you should understand how this IBRD, IDA, the World Bank, the IMF, ADB got established. And then you should establish interlinkages with current developments. That what happened in G20? Why was India given one of the responsibility that you suggest reforms? Because India is telling everyone that I'm the representative of the global South, which is the developing countries of the world. India also is playing a big role in BRICS by constantly poking that we need a global currency, right? So India would speak this in BRICS meeting, we need global currency. Then India will be quiet and India will say, US, now you react, right? So these are the games, international games which are happening, which India is playing a big role. How do you know India is playing a big role? UPI, ADI playing a digital war here at a different level. So India is traveling across the world and convincing every country that, hey, you also introduce UPI. UPI is a good app. Every country say, yes, you are right, sir. And they are asking India, how much money will you charge? India says, no, it's open. It's open network. You don't need to pay anything for UPI. It's our gift. Wow. Right. So you understand that under globalization also, there is something called as globalization of finance, globalization of culture, globalization of ideas, soft power, है ना? These things also happen. That's what India is doing. So what am I trying to tell you? That when you prepare these organizations from GS2 perspective, always keep in mind it can be asked in GS3 also. There is no rule that it cannot be asked. It can be asked. Let me prove it. Question on poverty is asked in GS3 also, GS2 also. Question on inflation has been asked in 2022 in GS paper 2. A question on inflation was asked in GS paper 2 mains, whereas normally you see a question on inflation in GS paper 3. So that is also PM Gati Shakti. It has been asked twice in UPSC in GS paper 2, not in GS paper 3, but we study it in GS paper 3. So there is interlinkages between paper. I can tell you one bizarre example. I remember that I was doing my first module batch. Interesting story. I remember that one day in the class we were doing Constitutional Amendment 101. And we spent almost like 2.5, 3 hours in the class doing all those amendments, articles of the Constitution. It was a full-blown polity class in economics. So we did that entire class, and I know that some of the reactions I got in the class, why? Like, why? I said, essay for fun. Now, what happened is next day, there was GS paper 2 mains. This batch was happening around mains. Just your batch will also happen during mains. So next day was GS paper 2 exam. Question number 5. Explain Constitutional Amendment 101. 2 years back. This is a real story. You can ask from anybody who attended that class. So guys, I call this course as economics, but we do much more than that. Because I believe that if somebody is studying taxation, so we are not God, that we predicted the question, so oh, kudos to us. This is foolishness. I'll tell you why we do it. Because anybody who is studying GST, how will they not do the constitutional amendment which brought GST? Logical. If you are studying the definition of GST without studying constitutional provisions and amendments, then you are not preparing well. Then you will be caught in the exam. There is no boundary that, oh, it is GS paper 2, I will not do it. No, that's not correct. That's not how you prepare for the exam. So I believe that if you are preparing for this exam, you should sometimes blur the boundary between 2 and 3. And it will be blurred many times. I'll give you another example. So I remember that last year, again, there is nothing special, but I'll tell you what happened. So last year, I remember we were taking a lecture. I know many of you from that batch are here as well. So not from the module batch, but I was just taking a session like this. In that session, I remember the last thing that I spoke was that what are the problems in the labor laws in India? And just as a normal thing, I gave 5 points in the class. Why? Because just 2 days back, I read it in the newspaper that there were some problems which government is trying to correct. And we did it in the class, the last 5-10 minutes of the class. That I think that day only was GS paper 3 exam. GS paper 3 2024. So in GS paper 3, the question was, in the context of labor reform, what are the challenges that labor laws of India are facing? 2024 UPSC mains. Where did I get that point? Newspaper. Directly in the newspaper. We did it in the class because current and static has to be integrated in the class. And we directly got the question in the exam. So imagine somebody working very hard, labor laws, all the provisions of labor laws, but that person somehow did not do those 5 points. That these are the 5 challenges which government is saying. Suppose by bad luck, you did not do those, but just those 5 points. Finished. One has to be very careful in these kind of papers like polity, economy, etc. So what am I trying to tell you? That when you study economics, my sincere suggestion and advice to when you study economics, make sure before you start a topic, you should also refer to some standard textbooks or content material of polity and try to see is there a connection. Like when we do labor laws in the class, we will do the constitutional provisions. Because labor laws have to be connected to constitution, Article 41, Article 39, 38. If you don't connect, how can you do labor laws? It's not possible. So yes, some boundaries have to be blurred. So that when you get a question in the mains, discuss labor laws, you can start your answer by saying that labor is in the concurrent list. And these are the constitutional provisions in the articles of the Constitution, fundamental rights and DPSP, where labor empowerment is specifically mentioned. And based on that, labor codes have been created. This is how you have to answer the question in the exam. So one has to be very careful. Jaise abhi, there is a system called as gig workers. Who are the gig workers? The Zomato and the Swiggy that you are like, they are called gig workers. If somebody will ask you, beta, how will you define gig workers? There are 2 ways. You will say gig workers are temporary workers who work for a company based on their will. They are not permanent employees of a company. They work part-time based on their will and wish. Right? This is gig worker? Absolutely no. In UPSC, if this in normal life, this is correct. But in UPSC, if they ask you this question, you will say that the first definition of gig workers in India is mentioned in the labor code. So in the current labor code, which has been said, in the third labor code, the definition is mentioned. And what is the definition? The definition says that gig workers is a system which is a deviation from a conventional employee-employer relationship. So, bacho, be very careful about it. Whenever UPSC asks you a question in the exam and they ask you these kind of things, that what is the definition, what is the meaning? So there is one term called as gig worker. Then is another term called as flexi workers. These are the things that you study in a topic called as employment. So if somebody will ask you a question, what are flexi workers? What are gig workers? And if you start to write layman language saying that my sir has told me a story in the class, UPSC will say, okay, then your answer script will also become a story. They will not give you marks. So what did I tell you? Did you notice what I told you? That first thing that should be done in any lecture of economics is stories. The second thing that should be done in any lecture of economics is technicalities. The story should always be followed by why do you do stories? Because you are not having economics background. To understand the soul of the subject, you need to do stories. Like I called your friend Aditya, I called Ram. I keep on doing this in literally every topic. So that is a story. But after story comes the constitutional provisions, the act of the parliament, the proper definition by IMF, technicalities. This is how you prepare this subject. So layman things for understanding, technical things for getting marks. These are two different things, है ना? Right. Now let me show you something interesting. So बच्चों, these two, ये क्या है? Numerical. Numerical asked in UPSC this year. Numerical from budget, right? So I know it will sound like almost very sort of repeatedly saying, I said this, I did that. It's not about that. But sometimes when you cover a journey, when you look back, if what you did gave result, you feel very happy about it. That, okay, something was right. You might have been wrong occasionally also, but something was right. So I can tell you two places where we did this in Vajiram. So there are two programs which I teach in Vajiram. One is Smart Current Affairs, where I did this numericals in the class, I remember. And I remember when we were doing it, some criticism also followed that. Is this an IIT JEE exam, banking exam? Why are we doing this? I said for fun. And there was another program, which is economics module of last 2 years, where we did this with a hope that this will bring more clarity to us without knowing that it will be asked. There was no way we could predict this will be asked. But whenever we study budget in the class, we always take numbers. We always take real numbers from the budget. We always do calculation. I can tell you two calculations we always do in the class as a ritual. This calculation we always do in the class. Look at any past video or notes, you will find this. And second thing that we do is, you see this. This has never been asked in UPSC, but I assure you that UPSC will go to this level. Dekhiye, when you study budget, there is something called as budgetary deficit. There is something called revenue deficit. There is something called effective revenue deficit. There is something called primary deficit. According to me, one question which has not been tested so far, I used to say this about it, that one day it will be asked. So I'm saying this for something else which will be asked. I don't know when, maybe next year, maybe next to next year. What is that? They will give you a diagram like this. And then they will tell you that this is, suppose, fiscal deficit, this is primary deficit. And they will ask you the question, what does the gap between fiscal and primary deficit tell you? These are the type of questions they will ask you. Coming down the line, these are the technical things I'm expecting in UPSC because the level is increasing. And you know this. I don't need to tell you. And if anybody tells you the level of UPSC is going down, they're lying to you. That's not correct. UPSC is asking concept. I'm not saying difficult question. I'm saying conceptual questions. This is one example. Deviation from the past. This is another example. So what is the difference? Who will tell me the answer? To my YouTube kids, Zoom, as well as offline. Who will tell me the answer? What is the difference? What is the gap between fiscal deficit and primary deficit? Answer is? Yes, you said something. Somebody also said it. Interest payment. To my online kids, guys. Interest payments. Emotionally correct. Technically could be better. Interest payment on previous loans. You knew it, I know. So yes, answer is interest payment on previous loans. So answer is interest payment. So if you study this through a story, I have a way to teach this part. That suppose you took 100 rupees from somebody, you returned 80, you did not return 20. ऐसे करके I tell a story. In that story, it will come out that, aha, the gap between these two is called as interest payment. And you know what is given in the economic survey and budget? Economic survey and the budget have said that the gap between fiscal and primary deficit in India is rising. Is rising. So what they are saying is the gap is SA, is happening like this, which means, see, I'm telling you how technical things can be understood in simple language. Ye dekho, the gap is rising. When the gap is rising, what does it mean? That the government of India took the loan on high rate of interest or low rate of interest? The government took the loan previously at high rate of interest, low rate of interest, because the gap shows interest rate, interest payment. Your interest payment is rising. So government took the loan at high rate, low rate, high rate. And when do you take the loan at high rate? You take the loan at high rate when the global situation is not good. Because when situation is volatile, people will give you money at high rate of interest. So government of India also took the money at high rate of interest because geopolitical situations since last few years have not been good, especially after COVID. So if you are taking money during crisis phase, geopolitical tensions, the rate of interest will be high. That's why you see that there is a big problem across the world, which is debt to GDP ratio. We are in debt. And whenever you are in debt, you have taken money at high rate of interest. The country has to return the money. So gap is rising. This is what is mentioned in the economic survey. So what do we do? How do you prepare for this exam economics? You prepare for the exam using different approaches. Approach number one, basics, using stories and conventional example. Number two, some technicalities. Immediately after the basics, some technicalities. And the third thing that you do when you prepare is, you have to, that's our duty, we have to do it. We have to integrate economic survey, budget, newspaper, and some government reports and current affairs. The moment you integrate, I'll show something very interesting to you. The moment you integrate, all of a sudden you'll see your answer writing will become better. I want to ask you a question. Suppose UPSC tells you, explain the concept of fiscal deficit and primary deficit in the context of India. And you are simply writing the difference, and fiscal deficit means government borrowing, primary deficit means fiscal deficit minus interest payment on previous loan. And then you are describing the concept. You will not get marks because everybody will write this. And this is just basics. After that, imagine that you being my kids are doing this. You are drawing a freehand graph and you are writing that gap between these two is interest payment and the gap is rising. And here you are writing source, economic survey 2023-24 last year. You are writing the source. And then you are explaining India is taking more loan under the global geopolitical tensions, hence interest rate is slightly higher. That is the reason gap is rising. Imagine your marks in the exam. So don't you often face the problem that I have read the theory, I'm not able to write the answer. I don't know what to write. Yeah, because the reason is that after you did your static and technical, you did not integrate current affairs inside. That's the problem that has happened. If you stop your preparation at the definition of primary and fiscal deficit, then the marks that you get in the exam will be very low. Somewhere you will be caught. And UPSC has become slightly demanding. See, this thing which I told you, does it look like earth-shattering concept that, my God, what is this? No, it's not. It's very simple. You only answered interest rate, which is the right answer. So these are the things that you need to integrate. I'm trying to show you that what are different ways in which questions are asked in the exam. So see, we have done this type of question. Now I come to this part. This is also something which is coming in the exam. We are not focusing on the answer, we are focusing on the type of question here. Let's read the question. Question says, which of the following statement with regard to recommendation of the 15th Finance Commission of India are correct? It talks about 15th Finance Commission and it is asking which of the recommendations are correct. Factual question or conceptual question? Absolutely factual. Because you can see it has recommended grant of rupees 4,800 crore, blah, blah. Absolutely factual. Do we need to do data for UPSC? Or somebody who gives the theory that only concepts are important, data is not important. I will never memorize in life because I feel memorization is a crime. I will only do conceptual part. You know what you are saying. Essentially, you are saying that you will not solve 10 MCQs in the exam because you feel memorization is not required. Don't do that. And if you don't do data, whenever a question on Finance Commission will be asked, you will not be able to write any current developments. Your arguments will not be authentic. You need data, you need facts. But do you need excess data? No. Balance is required. So what do I suggest? What do we do in the class? Right from day one, in all my courses, I do this. Whenever I teach a separate course where let's say I'm teaching something which has data, because I also teach those chapters which does not have data. Usme I can't do anything. But wherever I feel there is data, like if I'm teaching money banking, how is it possible data will not be there in money and banking, repo, reverse repo? So whenever I do quant kind of topics where data is there, I'll tell you what formula I suggest to my students, this formula. So what I suggest to all my students is have a fact book. You have to buy something, a small fact book like this, as a kuch chota sa handy, something like this, a small fact book, diary. That diary, you write your name and whatever your dream rank is there. These are the small things which helps you to remain motivated. So write your name, write your rank, whatever your favorite number is. Your favorite number could be 13 also, right? Like my favorite is 13, 11, so dangerous numbers. So you can write that as well. And then you can divide your diary 10 pages ka block. So suppose you took 10 pages, on the top of the first page write agriculture, and you have first 5 or first 10 pages dedicated to agriculture. Next 10 pages to environment, next 10 pages to, for example, growth and development, next 10 pages social justice, next 10 pages women empowerment. So how do you divide the pages? I'll tell you the jugaad. You divide the pages like this. For this also there is a trick. So I'll tell you the trick. This is the trick. So this is GS paper 3. This is, I have given this in your handout, you can see. So in your handout, I have given GS paper 3 syllabus. I'm just giving you a jugaad of how to create the fact book. So in your fact book, what you can do is, you can open all the GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4 not required. So GS 1, 2, 3 you can open, and you can check what are the themes mentioned in your GS paper 3. So here the first theme is economy. The second theme is agriculture. If you want your fact book to be organized, if you divide it in too many parts, confusion. So don't divide it in too many parts. You divide it in less number of parts so that it becomes easy to study. So first, you will divide your fact book into economy, agriculture. Then you will call it as science and technology, environment, security. This is from GS paper 3. Have I given GS paper 2 also? Is it there? Yes, deliberately I gave it. So if you look at your handout there, you can see GS2 syllabus also. So find the themes mentioned in GS paper 2. Can you tell me the first theme mentioned in your GS paper 2 paper? Handout, please. Constitution, yes. The second theme, please. Social justice. What is the third theme? Governance, very nice. And the fourth theme? International relations. These are the divisions in your fact book. And in your fact book, whenever a faculty is teaching in the class, any faculty, or you are reading newspaper and you find, oh, nice, interesting fact. Like, for example, for social justice, government has launched a committee to promote social justice. Write the name of the committee in your fact book. So what will be the help or what will be the utilization of the fact book? I'll tell you. If you have a thick notes at the end of economy, like 300 pages from a general studies or module class, whatever it is, your polity, very thick notes, etc. At the end, when you have to prepare for mains, how will you sort out what is to be written? You will not flip all the pages every day. It is not possible. But imagine you have a fact book where everything, every fact, data, report related to agriculture at one place. You are appearing in a prelims exam. Open, flip, done. You are appearing in a mains answer writing program. From there only, you can include the points as value addition points. That this committee talked about prices. This committee talked about MSP. Aisa karke you can write these points. That is that. Like I gave you a graph, fiscal deficit and primary deficit. That should go in your fact book under budget. So that in the exam, whenever you are writing your mains answer, straight away you can copy that and say, done. This is how you should create your fact book. You must have a fact book. So I suggest that instead of creating an economy fact book, you should create a UPSC fact book. And your fact book should be divided based on theme. Why did I give you GS paper 2 syllabus? Because I wanted to show you something, that if you study economics properly, it doesn't matter where you study, but if you study it properly, how to study in integrated manner. So if you open GS paper 2, and there are some things from here which I teach in my economics module as well. Like for example, you can see, go down, social justice. In social justice, you can see welfare schemes issued by the center and state for vulnerable section. So for example, PM Janman, that is for the tribal areas, right? So PM Swanidhi, that is one of the schemes. So similar kind of schemes, these are the things that you have to study when you are doing economics as well, so that you can use that in your GS paper 2. Because people of GS paper 2 will tell you study this in economics, and economics people will tell you study this in GS paper 2. And students will keep on wondering, where do I study, right? Similarly, same constitutional provisions related to taxes. Those who are teaching you like polity governance for these areas, they will tell you economics, GST, economy. And people who are teaching economy will tell you, I don't know polity, you study elsewhere. You are a student, you are wondering, where do I go, which side? So I believe that few things from GS paper 2 should be taught in GS paper 3. That's the way to do it. So first is social justice. The second is, I would suggest the last part, the issues relating to poverty and hunger. That part also you should do. So that part has to be done with economics only. Then you come to international relations, the last part, which I have highlighted. Padhiye, what is written? Important international institution, agency, and fora for their structure and mandate. Remember G20, IMF, World Bank, all these things. So whenever I do these extra things, of course, anybody who is a part of the module will also get those things. So I believe that some parts from GS2 should be integrated in 3, which we do. आपको ऐसा लगेगा, you will feel in the class that what is the need. Trust me, there is. So that is one part. Now, let me show you one more example, and after that, I'll ask you if you have any doubts, etc. ये देखिए, see this please. This question to my online and offline kids. See this please. Question number 1 of UPSC is given in your handout. This is the first question of this year's paper. I'll show you something very interesting. It says, with reference to investment, consider the following. Then it is saying bonds, stock, hedge fund, and venture capital, right? These 4. And then it is saying how many of the above are treated as alternative investment fund, AIF. Second question says, which of the following are the sources of income for RBI? How does RBI earn money? These are some of the options. It looks like perfect static part. Remember, I told you static means 70% questions, but I divided static into 60 plus 10. So is this, that 60 wala part pure static or something related to current? Let me show you. See this. I'll show you the date. December 17, 2024. This question came May this year in the prelims. December article, May question. So it's current affairs derived static. So I've heard people saying that current affairs is not required for prelims. Well, directly you might be right. But if you are in the habit of reading newspaper, the moment you see a term AIF in the newspaper, you will immediately recall, in the class, my faculty has taught me AIF in the static part, I will revise it. And you are prepared for the exam. Done. Which means, whenever you read something in the newspaper, it might not be asked directly in the exam that AIF ka figure will not be asked, data will not be asked, concept will be asked. These are called as current derived static parts, which means that static part has been asked only because it was in the news. This I put in that 10% category, which UPSC has been asking a lot these days, which means that whenever you are studying economics, 90% of your focus should be on what you are studying in terms of concept, etc. But 10% focus should be what came in the newspaper in last 2 years. Let me connect. That should be done. So, what? Acha, ye bhi dekh lo. See this also. RBI news also came. This RBI was there in the news as well. That is the reason that this question was created. So, my strategy for doing things would be this one. Dekhiye. This is how I believe that one should be learning economics. So it's little odd because it goes against what people normally tell you. This is not given in your handout. This is for your visual consumption, that you should understand it from here. So see what we do. Whenever you should, so either you are doing self-study or you are attending any lecture anywhere across the world, kahin pe bhi, wherever you are studying economics. The real method of learning economics would be, I'll show you 2 pages. One, you should always start with basics, stories, and examples. Real life example. That if I'm starting a company, how do I want to raise money? Do I want to bring partners or do I want to take loans? So this is the first thing that you should do. Stories, stories, and stories. But it should not be unnecessary overuse of stories, normal use of stories. Immediately after this, you should go to concepts from your textbooks or any notes, your diagrams, your definition, that what is a share. Share is of 2 types. So after basic, you should come to technicalities. One mistake which you make is you always start with technicalities. The first thing we will do when we study capital market is, what is the difference between equity share and preference share? The day you do it, your interest in the subject is killed forever. and you never feel like going back in the subject and study because it's very heavy here. We do not need to do all those things. Always start from there, and then you go this. But whenever you are studying basics, that's what we do in the class. Whenever we do a topic or a theme in the class, we always do MCQs. It's a rule. Without MCQs, we do not conduct lectures. So basics, MCQs. If you are doing self-study, my suggestion to you would be, see, self-study is also not a crime. It's a very good thing. If you can handle everything with self-study, you should. So if you are doing self-study, you should study basics from some reliable sources. Immediately after that, you should solve MCQs. Where will you get MCQs? You will get MCQs in the market, online. You Google, you will find MCQs. So for example, today you are studying capital market. Please type basic questions related to capital market. You will get MCQs on internet. Or you will get sectional papers in the market as well. It's available everywhere. What I do in my class is I do not lift any question from online. I do not lift any question from market. I create my questions. The reason being that there's a certain way that UPSC is framing question. I don't know 200 subjects in the world. I know only one subject, which is economics, which means that whatever is happening in the subject, I know inside out because 24/7 I study this. If you do it, you will also know it. Simple. If you do something repeatedly, you will know it. So by repeated use of newspaper, magazine, government schemes, government documents, we get a sense. That is why I don't believe in the questions from outside. I'll create my own questions. After every chapter, there will be question answer, which we will do in the class. Sometimes my lectures are 3 hours, my question sessions are 8 hours. ऐसे भी होता है. It happens because I believe without questions, one cannot crack the exam. So lectures will also always be normal. The question session will be very lengthy. It will take time because we discuss a lot of pros and cons. This side, that side, how to answer, how not to answer, these kind of things. It helps in other subjects as well. When we do technical things, MCQs. Are you noticing something? No mains answer writing. Why? One cannot do mains answer writing only on the basis of basic and technical knowledge unless you have included current affairs. So in the class, we do a 3-layered structure. One is basic. The second is technical. And when we integrate current affairs, that day we do answer writing. So answer writing, we don't do every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, we do MCQs. But answer writing, we do when we integrate current affairs in a theme. So suppose I'm teaching you capital market. I've taught you enough of capital market. Another last lecture of capital market. Suppose I teach 4 lectures of capital market. 4th lecture will be current affairs. So current development of capital market. In that lecture, once it is done, then you will be in a position to write answers. Because in your answer, current affairs has to be reflected in terms of value addition. Otherwise, you will not get marks in the exam. The mistake that we make is there are people in very enthusiastic manner, they tell us, beta, you are preparing for UPSC from day one, write answer. Acha, from day one, if I write answer, I'll write this. My answer will be weak. I will have no idea what I'm doing. On day 2, if I write, I'll only end up writing technicalities. It will look like optional paper. On day 3, if I do it, then it will be a great mix of basics, some technicalities, some current. That's the way to do answer writing. Now, so what are the things that I believe should be done in an economics class? This you can use for self-study also in a class also, but this is something which I do in my class. Handouts, class notes. Those who have attended my sessions earlier, you know we have a habit of dictation in the class. And I will dictate because ultimately in the mains exam, you will have to write. So in the class also, you should have that habit. We will not take shortcuts, but wherever required, some handouts will also be given. It will always be a mix. So you will not get something like this that from lecture 1, 100 pages handout. No. So for example, I'm teaching you a topic and I feel only class dictation should be given because it is mains type of topic, then only class dictation will be given. If I feel mix of class and handout, mix will be given. If I feel only handout, only handout. Depends. For example, when I teach mains type of topic, 99% I give class notes. I don't believe in dictations. I give class notes. I don't give handouts. For mains type of thing, I'll make you write. For prelims kind of things, I might give you some ready-made tables also. But mains with no ready-made table, everything has to be drawn in the class in front of me. So this is the approach. Now, in mains answer writing, bacho, I want to clarify this to you if you are going to come in my course, whether you are going to come or not going to come, but this is what my suggestion is. I have seen people obsessed with PYQs, that in the lecture was PYQ covered. Yeah, we do cover PYQs. All the PYQs we cover in the class which are relevant. Suppose some question was asked in 2012 And that theory does not exist today. Why to do it? It's a dynamic subject. So we cover all the PYQs in the class itself, during the lectures itself. But the answer writing practice which I do in the class contains those questions which have never been asked. Imagine if you come to a class with a faculty like me and I'm only doing question answer which has been asked in the exam. When will we do questions which have not been asked, which can be asked in future? फिर वो कैसे करें? How to do it? So what I do in the class is the previous year questions which have been asked, we practice it during the lecture itself. But the questions which I feel will be asked, that I do as answer writing separate sessions which I will take time to time in your class. So for example, let's say I have taken 5 lectures with you. My basics plus technicalities plus current, all the things done related to example. Suppose I will start with industries. Basics done, technical stuff done, current done. Then I'll call you separately and I'll say today's answer writing day. And we will only write answer, where I'll share tricks with you that how to write intro, how to write body, how to write conclusion. Because this is not current affairs answer. This is proper UPSC economics answer. So it has to be designed differently. So this I will train because there are static areas also which has to be dealt. So I'll call you for a separate session on and off and I'll tell you today is only answer writing day, please come. One day I'll call you and tell you today is only MCQ day. For 3 hours MCQ, 2.5 hours MCQ only. 3 hours only mains answer writing, which will also help you in other subjects because polity, governance, economy, the way of writing answer is very similar. This is my idea. So I will not do only PYQs because I feel it is unfair. I feel that one should do questions which are relevant and have the probability of being asked in future also. Otherwise, how will you do it? So these are like gig workers, flexi workers. These are some of the questions which have flexi worker has never been asked at UPSC. We will do flexi worker in the class. So this is one example. MCQs, again, I will create my own MCQs. The PYQs which have been asked in the exam, I will cover it during the lecture by telling you, dekho, MCQ of 2019 done. But the MCQ session which I will take with you, it will have MCQs of my own. And I do not trust MCQs created by others, not because they are bad, but because they create MCQs. Other people create MCQs for their course. Everybody has a different way of learning. Why should I copy somebody when we are spending time in the class? So I will make my own fresh MCQs and I will only do that in the class. So that is there. Then PYQs, I told you, will be integrated in the class. Ab ye dekhiye, this is the lecture approach. If you are doing self-study or if you are doing the course with me, this is what we will do. If you go to a standard class of learning economics, they will always start with GDP, GNP, national income. I don't know if it is right or wrong, but that's not how I start. I will always start with mains topics. The reason being that if we can start with mains topic, we can establish a good connect with real life economics, first of all. And second, we can learn answer writing very early on in our preparation cycle. Because if you do mains wala topics around, let's say, November, when will you do the answer writing? There will be a pressure of prelims after that. You won't be able to do in a free mind, you won't be able to do answer writing. If you want to show me answers, when will you show me answers? So the best time to do mains type of topics is early on. So I'm going to start the lecture. I'll tell you the starting date. We are not going to start today. So I'll tell you that whenever we start, Abhi, we will start with the mains topic. We will do industries, trade, fiscal policy, taxation. These are the topics that I feel that I will start with. Once we start, we will do answer writing. One interesting thing which we are doing in the classes, I'll show you. Whenever I teach you any topic, whatever from NCERT is required related to that topic, I will integrate it in the class. I'll give an example, which I did last year and last to last year. When we started fiscal policy in the class, I did not start the lecture by saying what is fiscal policy. I started the lecture by saying what is public goods and what is a free rider problem. Where is it given? It's given in NCERT. It's NCERT micro. Free rider, public goods, opportunity cost. Anybody who understands this will understand a lot of things related to defense, IR, wo sab connected. So we never start with what is fiscal policy. We always start with NCERTs, where things related to fiscal policy has been mentioned. And then we connect it with taxation and fiscal policy, that free rider is connected to taxation. You must be doing this, right? And similarly, public goods are connected to taxation and fiscal policy. So micro and macro, I'm going to integrate with respective lectures. This is what we do in the class. And I'll tell you in the class only that this is from micro page number this. Next one. After that, we will do prelims kind of topics. Here, देखिए, this is money market, capital market, inflation, etc. We will do for prelims. So first, I'll do some mains topic. I'll teach you answer writing separately, and I will leave you and I will tell you that now you write your own answers. If you want to show me, you are most welcome, because your course will be running. Then in between, I will teach you prelims topics, which are technical in nature. बताता हूँ क्यों. Reason I'll tell you. There are some prelims topics without which understanding some mains topic is impossible. Unless you understand some prelims topics specifically, you won't be able to understand the remaining mains topic. So first mains topic, then prelims. Again, in prelims, I will do only MCQs and I will do micro, and macro will be integrated here. And then I will come back to mains. Which mains? The remaining mains part. You look at this topic called as inflation. Inflation is asked in both prelims and mains. So from prelims perspective, I'll do it here. And the moment it is done, from mains perspective, I'll do it here. So mains topics, the remaining mains topics, I will do micro and macro integration as well here. Whatever from NCERT is related to these topics will integrate. So in anything that I'm doing, whatever from NCERT is required, I'll integrate. And then we will do the mains answer here as well. Achha, after everything is done, at the end of your session, I know you'll find it funny, but that's what I do in all the batches. So I never change this rule. Your last few classes will be on GDP, GNP, national income. All those issues which bother you will be my last set of almost like 10 classes. 5 or 10 classes will be based on that. Why? What is my experience of these topics? Your actual training of GDP, GNP will start from day 1. So for next 4 months, in every lecture that I take, I'll use the word GDP, GNP. And I will integrate it in such a manner that in 4 months, at the end of the 4 months, a day will come when I'll ask you, have you understood GDP and GNP? Then I'll show you a formula. The answer will be yes. The reason being that it's already being integrated since 4 months. So at the end, your fear of GDP, GNP will be gone forever because you will play with it. The mistake that we make when we study economics and prepare is we start with GDP, GNP. I don't feel that people who do not have economics background, they should not start with that topic. You should start with something which is more practical so that you can connect with the subject. And GDP, GNP should be integrated smartly with the lecture so that one does not even realize that you have studied GDP and GNP. This is how we will do it. So at the end, my last topics will be absolute, the remaining portions of micro and macro, which is GDP, GNP, etc. But with a promise, you will say it, with a promise that GDP and GNP will go on every day without you realizing much about it. And at the end, when I show you the formula, it will become very clear to you. Which are the books that we are going to follow? These only. We are not going to follow anything other than this. All the NCERT to be followed. Economic survey of last 2 years. Economic survey of 2 years. Budget of last 2 years. Not cover to cover, but whatever is relevant. There are many schemes which have been discontinued by the government. We will not study them. There are things which are continued. We'll study them. And then current affairs from newspaper. And whatever remaining, I mean, I'm not following any specific textbook, etc. I will use my own resources, which I have specifically created for module. देखो पता है क्या? What is the advantage of the course for me as a faculty? As a faculty, the advantage is since I teach current affairs program in Vajiram as well, and I teach economics also. So when I take this course, I do not need to study current affairs separately because I'm already doing it for a different course. So what I do, same person is teaching like 2 courses. One is current affairs, one is economy. Obviously, when I teach economics, I'll bring current affairs. How can I not bring current affairs? So for me, I don't have to put extra efforts for your classes. But and the chances that I will miss out on anything is negligible. Because even if I want, I can't miss. The reason being that sooner or later, I'll do it for my current affairs classes, which I'll bring it here as well. And similarly, whatever current affairs class I take, there also I bring a lot of things that I have learned in economics. So it's always a crossover. So this type of program helps me to design the course as per what I feel is right. And thank God I have got that freedom in Vajiram that I can design a course like this where I can teach GDP at the end, knowing fully well that this is something which people start with. I don't follow that rule. So this is what I do. What about your book? Yes, of course, whatever I have written in my book, of course, I'll teach that. So the same person is doing all these things. So how can I, distinguish and differentiate? It has to be similar. So don't worry about this, but this I promise you that it will be covered in the class. It's a promise. Whatever is there which is important will be covered. We will not cover 1 year of survey, we'll cover 2 years of survey, we'll cover 2 years of budget and all these things. Now I want to show you one more thing, last thing, because majority of the things I wanted to show is done. But last thing which I want to show is something which I want to ask you. Ye dekhiye. To my online and offline kids, see this please. I know there is something which bothers literally everyone, and I want you to take it away from today's class so that you are happy about this complicated concept and you can also learn the method of learning, so that if you want to do self-study also, you can do it. So see, what is this? This is a question in 2020, asked in 2020. To my online kids, Zoom and YouTube guys, please be careful about this. This is one of my favorite areas, which is banking. So see, and I know that you are scared of two concepts. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. Are you scared of something which is called as money multiplier? Money multiplier. Nobody is very confident about money. I have never seen anybody saying I'm fully confident. People say I know it. But if I tell them, can I ask you 10 questions on that? Then the answer that I'll get, well, okay. So money multiplier, H theory of money supply, credit creation by a bank. Read NCERT and you will see how complicated and chaotic it looks. It's not wrong, but slightly chaotic. What is UPSC doing? Every year it is asking question from that. I'll show you this. 2020, the question was, suppose you withdraw 1 lakh rupees from a bank account. Bank accounts are of two types. Bacho, careful. Bank accounts are of two types. One, when you put the money in a bank called as savings account. What is savings account? You put the money and you can withdraw the money whenever you feel like, through ATM, through withdrawal forms. Put the money and withdraw the money whenever you feel like. That's savings. So that is called as demand deposit. What is the meaning of demand deposit? You put the money in the bank and whenever you demand, bank will return the money to you. So whenever bank returns the money which you have deposited in the bank easily, that type of money is called as highly liquid. So demand deposits are highly liquid because you can deposit the money and you can withdraw it anytime. The second type of deposit is called as, example, fixed deposit. So when you go to a bank and deposit money for 5 years, in between 5 years, if you go and tell the bank, can I withdraw the money? They will tell you, well, sir, for next 5 days, some repair of the server is going on. Achha. After 5 days, when you go, they will tell you the bank manager is on vacation. And what is the bank manager doing? Bank manager is right inside the office having his extended lunch. Then you go again after saying that, is the bank manager back after 2 days? They will tell you, sir, please go to counter number 13. And there is no counter number 13. There are only 12 counters. They will send you to 13. Half day you will keep on searching 13. What is this behavior? Are they saying no to return your money? No. You have done fixed deposit for 5 years. They are delaying it so that they can keep the money for a longer period. And after like 5, 6, 7 days, when you will tell them, today I will not go back home without my money, then they will tell you, okay, then pay the penalty. Because when you deposited money, you said 5 years. So bank took your money for 5 years and bank has also used the money somewhere else. So they will take some penalty and return your money. Matlab, getting your fixed deposit is not that easy. There are rules and regulations, penalties involved. Yeah, is it okay? So fixed deposits are also called as time deposits. What is the meaning of time deposits? You deposit your money for a fixed period of time. So time deposit. So what are the two types of deposits that you just understood? Very simple. Deposits are of two types. Demand deposit plus time deposit, right? Now I want to ask you a question. You please keep giving me the answer. When you give money to a bank in savings account, which is demand deposit, or fixed deposit, which is time deposit, is it an income for a bank or is it a liability for a bank? Liability matlab headache which bank has to return. What is it? Liability of a bank. So can we call demand deposit and time deposit as liability of a bank? Liability means responsibility to return. Yes? Yes. So can I call DD plus TD, demand deposit plus time deposit, as demand? So I'll take the word D from here and I'll take the word T from here. Demand and time liability. So I took the word D from here, T from here. DT, L is liability. So can I call it as DTL is equal to, ऐसे? DTL, yeah, so you can write total deposit. But the right term would be DTL is equal to DD plus TD. Is it okay? This is a very popular term in money and banking. Demand and time liability. Ab dekho the magic of this. Listen to it very carefully. Bacho, the question which UPSC has asked is, I told you that everything has to be done without a formula first, through stories, later on formulas. So see the story part, very careful. There is something called as money supply. Suppose I give you the definition of money supply as, which has been given by RBI. So RBI says, listen to it very carefully, bacho. RBI says, the best definition of money supply is that money which is most easily available for use. So can you please tell me, out of demand deposit and time deposit, which money is most easily available for use? Absolutely correct. Good answer. Demand deposit. Because I give you context that if you go to a bank and tell them, return my fixed deposit, they will make excuses. So which money is easily available? Demand deposit. So which is more liquid, DD or TD? Brilliant. Whenever you get a salary, suppose you are working somewhere, you got a salary today. So can you please tell me that whenever you get salary, you will deposit entire salary in the bank, or will you keep some money for expenses also in hand? In hand also? So the money that you keep in hand, is it liquid or it is less liquid? Liquid means can you easily use it, or you find it very difficult to use? Money in hand, easily use. Ye dekh lo. So suppose that this is my salary, I put it in my hand, some portion in my hand, some portion in the bank. Demand deposit. So a combination of money in hand and demand deposit together is called as money supply. This is the most easy definition of money supply. And this is considered to be the most liquid definition of money supply. But if I want to know that, no, you tell me a slightly bigger definition of money supply, which also includes that money, which I will get with some difficulty also. Then what will you do? Currency in hand plus DD plus TD. So if somebody will ask me, what is money supply? I will say money supply is equal to MS. Money supply is equal to C. C means currency that is in my hand. So whenever I say currency in hand, you should say C. Currency in hand plus DD. That's a definition of money supply. But that's very narrow, because this is not including my money, which is fixed deposit. It is not included. So I need something broader, something bigger, wider. So what will be another definition of money supply? So this is called, suppose, MS1. This I'll call as MS2. What will I do? C plus DD plus TD. This is also a definition of money supply. So what will UPSC do from here? They will ask a basic question. Which of the following is the narrow money supply? Which of the following is the broad money supply? Narrow money supply, C plus DD. Broad money supply, C plus DD plus TD. Answer done. Now I want to ask you one question. Suppose I want to know that money supply, which is the most liquid form of money supply. So if I have to find out that is money being supplied nicely in the economy, which money supply shall I include? C plus DD plus TD or C plus DD? Most efficient and highly liquid form of money. MS1, which is C plus DD. So whenever RBI makes calculations, policy calculations, RBI has two options, either use this or use this. When RBI has to find out the most efficient money supply, RBI uses this method, C plus DD. And when RBI has to find in general, I want to see what is happening in the economy, then RBI will use this. Which means UPSC can create two potential questions from here. Are you getting this idea? This is how you prepare for the exam. And we wrote the nomenclature, but we did not start with the formula. We started with a story that when you get a salary, what will you do? Some money in the hand, some in demand deposit, some in fixed deposit. As we started. Ab dekho, this will lead to something so big. So let's remove this for a while. Let's look at the best definition of money supply. Read this question, please. Without using any formula, just look at this expression. Read this, and I will ask you a question. So what is written to my online kids, guys? If you withdraw 1 lakh rupees cash from your demand deposit. So suppose that cash in hand that you have is 2 lakhs. You got a salary of 3 lakhs. 2 lakhs you kept as cash in hand. 1 lakh you deposited in demand deposit in a bank. And what is the total money supply in the economy? 3 lakhs. And you are the only one in the economy. There is nobody else. You have 3 lakh rupees, 2 lakh in your hand, 1 lakh in your bank account. UPSC is saying that if you so what is the money supply? 3 lakhs. UPSC says withdraw this. Take withdraw this. When you withdraw, where will you keep? In your hand only. Here. When you withdraw money, you keep it in hand only. So this one will be added here, right? So when you withdraw, this will become 3 and this will become 0. What is 3 plus 0? What will be the change in money supply? Unchanged. What's the answer? To leave it unchanged. Done. For this, do I need any big theory? But I need somebody to tell me two things. See, I have seen people who have studied economics to a very good level, but go and ask them what is money supply. They will give you one definition. They'll only give you one definition. So whenever you talk about money supply, you have to give two definitions and tell that one is very efficient, which is the most liquid, one is less liquid. But for general policy, and this third statement is very crucial, for general policy purposes, we always take the most liquid one when RBI. But for specific things, which RBI wants to do in the economy or society, RBI might take the bigger one. Now, in this question, whether you take C plus DD, even if you add TD here, nothing will change. Because your total money supply will be same. Whatever formula you use, your money supply will not change. So, in these type of questions, the only thing that you should know is how to measure money supply. Aap dekha aapne? Was it very difficult? No. It looks technical. It is not. Now, let me show you the second part, which is my final theory for today. And this I sincerely want to teach you because I have spoken to so many students since these years. And everybody literally tells me that there are many areas where people get stuck. This is one such area where literally everybody tells me clarity is missing. I said, chalo, theek hai, let's do it. So read this question. This question says the money multiplier in the economy increases with which one of the following? Money multiplier is a concept which gives headache to a lot of people. So money multiplier in the economy increases with which one of the following? Increase in CRR, increase in SLR, increase in banking habit, and increase in population. So question says, money multiplier changes under which condition? This is one question. I have created another question for you, which is this. Read this, please. Consider the following banking ratios: reserve deposit ratio, currency deposit ratio. Absolute technical. And this question has been, similar question has been asked in UPSC. It says, a decline in value of which of the following, which of the above would lead to increase in money multiplier? This question I have created for the module practice. I just took that from there. So the question says, a decline in the value of which of these is there in your handout? A decline in value of which of these would lead to increase in money multiplier? Can I tell you something? There are two ways of solving this. One is formula. What is the formula? Formula is money supply is equal to 1 plus CDR divided by CDR plus RDR into small m. Formula from NCRT. I would not even write that. Kyun likhu main? Because without writing also I can solve this question. Kaise? How? Story. Then I'll give you the formula. So story time first, guys. See how to solve this and what is the concept. Suppose somebody will do it quickly. See, suppose somebody's income is 100 rupees, guys. Suppose somebody's income is 100 rupees. Now, this person wants to deposit money in a bank. Fatafat, please tell me, to my online kids and offline, what are the two methods of depositing money in the bank? One is demand deposit, and second, guys, please feel free to answer. Second is time deposit. Brilliant. So there are two things that he can do: demand deposit and time deposit. Suppose 40 rupees demand deposit, 60 rupees time deposit. As he can do. And total is 100 rupees. This is the deposit. Now, this stage one. So can you please tell me, when this entire money is deposited, what shall I call these two things as? DD plus TD is equal to, I gave you a name, DTL. Demand and time liability. Liability from whose perspective? Bank's perspective. Because bank has to return the money. So this is how you memorize the nomenclature. DD plus TD is equal to DTL. Ab dekho the next part. The beautiful part is this one. See. Now, I want to ask you a question. Suppose this guy has deposited 100 rupees in a bank. If you are a bank, listen to it very carefully because we are going to study a deep concept in one line. So what is the habit of a bank? The habit of a bank is the moment you give 100 rupees to a bank, the moment you deposit 100 rupees to a bank eyes pop out. 100 rupees I have received. Immediately they will give this 100 rupees as loan to this guy. Look how innocent this person is. He is waiting for loan. He's a borrower. Immediately bank says, take 100 rupees as loan, but in future, when you return the money, You please add 10 rupees to it and then return the money. So what is the bank doing? What is the habit of a bank? The moment somebody gives money to the bank, the habit of the bank is take the money and give the entire money as loan to this person and tell him that when you return the money, you add something to it. So 100 rupees of this guy, listen to it carefully, bacho, 100 rupees of this guy has helped the bank to multiply 100 rupees and make 100 as 110. So what has bank done? Bank has used your 100 rupees to create 10 extra rupees for itself. This is called credit creation. Bank has just created credit. Using somebody else's money, bank creates credit. This is called credit creation. And the moment credit creation is done, money supply has increased. So credit creation and money supply are linked. Whatever increases the credit creation increases the money supply in general. So what has happened here? Bank has taken somebody's money, this 100 rupees, and what is the bank doing? Bank is giving this as loan, and then bank is getting more money back. So what gives the capacity to the bank to multiply money or create credit? The freedom to use his deposits gives the power to the bank to multiply the credit or to increase the money supply. Higher the freedom, higher will be the credit creation. If you don't put any restriction on the bank, what will bank do? Straight away take 100 from here, give the entire 100 to this guy and get 10 rupees extra. This is unfettered freedom. There is no restriction on this freedom. And bank says, this is my money which I have got. For some time, so it is mine. I'm going to use this. Now what has happened is, this guy who took the 100 rupees, he used this money for business. Right? His business was doomed. He could not return 100, he could not return 10. Gone. Now, when he's not able to return the money, bank says, hey, you are supposed to give me the EMI. Where is my 100? Where is my 10? He says, sorry, it's not there. Bank says, tomorrow I'm coming to meet you. Next day, he takes his private jet and out of India. Right? He might be in London, I don't know. London or New Zealand or Australia. There are many places. Or Panama Islands, called as tax haven, or Caribbean Islands, tax haven. Very nice. So your friend is saying that, she manages some time to watch podcasts also. Little bit. Okay. Very innocent kid. So your friend is saying that once you leave India, you might be tempted to come in the podcast for whitewashing your and cleaning your image as well. So let's come back. That's for another time. So you come when I teach you black money, that day we will discuss all this. Interesting stories. So money is not coming back. Now this guy comes to the bank and says, give me my money back. With the person who is running the bank, the board of directors, they also take a private jet and zoom out of India. How will they return the money of this guy? Because the money is not coming back from here. Don't you feel that entire banking system will collapse? Yeah, it will collapse. And if somebody will hear this news that, hey, this guy has not returned the money and this guy is saying, give me my money back. So other people who have also deposited money in this bank, they will also come with their ATM card and they will start to withdraw money. That is called bank run. Bank run. So the moment we hear some negativity about a bank and there is a huge rush of people to withdraw cash, the rush of people to withdraw cash fast at a fast pace is called bank run. So if bank run happens, this bank is gonna collapse. Did you understand this second concept? That if you give unlimited freedom to this bank, what is the problem that will happen? Money will come, entire money will go, and credit creation will be very fast. But faster credit creation can lead to problem also. If one person defaults, entire system collapses. So who comes in the picture to save the economy? Now, you. Because who will become the RBI governor in future? When you crack the exam and you study economics nicely with all the fundas, and when you go in the governance, you see all the people, the senior IAS officers who have been given the position of RBI governors, there is one thing common. All of them somewhere during their career of being a bureaucrat, whether they had economics optional or not, that's not the point. Like Dr. Shaktikant Das never had economics optional. He's from history. And similarly, there are other examples. But what they do is, after they become the officers, they get some training in economics and finance. He has done courses in multiple places. He has learned the subject deeply and nicely by taking interest. Because without that, you cannot be appointed as these significant post holders in India, because a big team will be given to you whom you have to lead. Dr. Shaktikant Das does not have to decide repo rate, but he has to select the right team which can decide the repo rate for him. But to select the right team, he needs that knowledge. So your job as an IAS officer will not be to do calculations. You will never need to do calculations, but you need to hire the right people who can do the right calculation for you. Right? And to understand whom to hire, you should know these kind of techniques so that you can cross-check, you can understand. That's the reason that you study so many subjects. People criticize UPSC, why so many subjects? Because you will handle so many subjects and so many variety of questions in the society. There will be responsibilities given to you. You need that knowledge. Right? So now see what is happening. So what is happening is you understood that you have to bring some regulation. You are absolutely correct, Bacho. You said that RBI has to come in. So chalo, let's bring RBI. Ab dekho what RBI will do. See, we are going to make this super easy now. In 5 minutes, you will crack this code forever. So what has happened? 100 rupees comes in this bank, Bacho, and you have to bring your phone out with a calculator. Because in next 5 minutes, I'll ask you to calculate something. So please bring your phone out to my online quiz and don't make the phone call. You can use the calculator in airplane mode also. Kuch log khush ho gaye. Good, sir. And now I can pass on the message. So, see this, guys. Don't look at your phone for too long. Innocent kids, emotional kids. So, guys, come back, please. It will be over soon. You will understand this concept, but it's a very significant concept of economics. So, what has happened? 100 rupees by this income generator. This income generator comes here in a bank and he says, I want to deposit my money. So 100 rupees deposited. Okay? Guys, focus. 100 rupees deposited by this guy here. The moment 100 rupees come, RBI comes and RBI says, hello, sir, Mr. Bank. You have just received 100 rupees. I know that if I don't put any regulation on you, you will give entire 100 rupees as loan to him. So what does RBI do? RBI says, you, sir, whosoever you are, whatever money you got, Mr. Bank, uska 4%, you please give it to RBI. It will be your money only. RBI is just going to be the custodian. So RBI goes to this bank and RBI says, sir, you received 100 rupees. Please take out 4 rupees, put it in this box. The name of this box is CRR. CRR. So RBI says, put the money put, RBI takes this box. And RBI says, I am taking the custody. In worst case scenario, in future, if such situation come, I might return this back to you. It is your money only. I'm just keeping it safe. So that if anything wrong happens, I can help you. Chalo, done, CRR. Then RBI says, you, sir, I want you to save some money as well in your pocket. This bank says, why? RBI says, if something wrong happens, how will you bail yourself out? Bacho, whenever you get income, don't you save something? Go and ask your mom. Ask her to show the kitchen shelves. You will see that in the packets where rice, cookies, biscuits, all those things are kept, you will see 50,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees. It's there. That is that saving. So RBI is saying, behave like the mom, right? Because they know how to save money. So whenever you receive 100 rupees from this guy, 4 rupees to RBI and 18 rupees, this bank has to keep in the form of, for example, gold. So they have to take 18 rupees out, keep it in the form of gold, or you can buy bonds of governments. Various things. Chalo, gold kai. Let's take the example of gold. 18% of whatever money came, 100 rupees came, 18% ka gold. This money that you spent in gold is called SLR. So CRR goes to RBI and this gold, which is worth 18% or 18 rupees, is kept with the bank itself, in the vault of the bank, in the treasury of the bank. So now, guys, I want to ask you the first question. Can you please tell me online and offline, what is the total money which RBI has asked this bank to set aside? Out of 100 rupees which came, how much has been set aside? 22 rupees. 18 plus 4. 22%, 22 rupees. If 100 rupees came, 22 rupees cannot be used by this bank. It has to be kept aside as reserves. It is in the reserve. One reserve with RBI, another reserve with the bank itself. How much money this bank is free to give as loan? 78. Now, listen to it carefully. So this SLR 18 plus CRR 4 together is called as required reserve. So if somebody will ask you what is required reserve, so required reserve is that amount, RR, is that amount which the central bank requires the banks to set aside. So required reserve is an amount which central bank requires the banking agencies of India to set aside. So how much money has been set aside? 18 plus 4, 22. This is RR required reserve. One question to you. Suppose that I am asking you a question. Give me that amount which this bank is free to give as loan. 78. 78 free to give as loan. Now, this 78 rupees which the bank is free to give as loan is called as excess reserve. This is called as excess reserve. ER. So if somebody will ask you a question that what is that amount, bacho, careful, what is the amount which a bank is free to give as loan? Your answer will be whatever is the excess reserve is the amount which a bank is free to give as loan. Are you understanding this? So if I ask you two questions, is the bank free to give required reserve as loan? Please give me an answer. Is the bank free to give this money, CRR, SLR as loan to anybody? Can the bank do that? No. Can the bank give this 78 rupees to loan to anybody if it wants by rule? Yes, because there is no restriction on the 78. But this 22 you cannot touch. So can you please tell me, if somebody will ask you a question, what is the total reserve of a bank? Total reserve of a bank is equal to RR plus ER. Total reserve is RR plus ER. Brilliant. So total reserve is equal to required reserve plus excess reserve. Did you get this point? Okay. Now my question. Next question. I'm just making a change here. Uske baad we'll use the calculator. Suppose that there is somebody, a borrower here. And what the bank does is, from this 78 rupees, bacho, careful. What did I tell you? That first we have to start with a story. Then we have to become technical to be able to clear UPSC. We never start with formula. I can bombard formulas, but we will not. We are building the formula. So what is happening now? From this 78, suppose 10 rupees is given to the borrower. So how much money is left here? 68. So can somebody tell me, what is the required reserve in our example? In rupee terms, 22 rupees. Required reserve has not changed. It's 18 plus 4, 22. But can you please tell me what is the excess reserve now? After giving 10 rupees here, what is the excess reserve? 68. So what is the definition of excess reserve? It is the money which a bank has not yet given as loan, but it is a potential money which the bank can give as loan in future. So what is the meaning of excess reserve? The money which is there with the bank, which the bank can legally give as loan to somebody in future. They have already given 10. So 10 is not excess reserve. 10 has become loan. So now I want to ask you another question. See the beauty of economics. What a subject it is. If you do it logically, you'll fall in love with the subject. This subject is very addictive, I tell you. I ask you another question. Can you please tell me which money currently, you tell me the answer, huh? Which money currently is helping the bank in credit creation, in multiplying? This or this, currently, not future, currently. Which money, don't use formulas, which money is currently helping the bank to multiply its credit? 10. Because this money will help in future. This money can also help in future, but this money is currently helping because it has already given 10 only. So if somebody will ask you, you miss the word currently, which money is currently helping the bank? It's very simple. Unless you genuinely don't want to answer, you will be able to answer. If you have decided I will not answer, then you won't be able to answer. But even if you are 50% sleeping, you still can answer this question. It is that easy. Why 10 rupees bank has given to this guy? 68 is there in the account. So which money helps the bank to multiply the credit? The money which it has given as loan. It's as simple as that. And how do you know that? You know it from here. You already know it. The money which you give as loan, this money only comes back to you through interest rate. The money which you never give as loan, how will it come back in the form of interest rate? So if somebody will ask you a question that in this entire story, be very careful about it. These are the questions which UPSC is asking. Which money is currently helping the bank to do credit creation? 10 rupees. Now I change my question. Guys, careful. Which money can help the bank in credit creation in future? Are you getting the answer? 68? 68. In future. No. 10 is already happening. I'm only asking about future, that which money will help the bank to multiply in future, not current. So this is out. This is currently happening. I'm saying future. Future is 68. Plus. Okay, I'll give you a situation. And that's the beauty of economy. Immediately, RBI announces, today, that I'm removing the system of CRR and SLR. CRR and SLR 0 for next 6 months. Party time. This money, 18 plus 422 also goes here. And bank gets 68 plus 22. So if somebody will ask you a question, that what is that potential money which the bank can lend? Bhai, to can lend, if RBI says this is 0, फिर तो it can lend. So if somebody asks you a question, which is the potential money which a bank can lend at maximum for credit creation, then the answer is 68 plus 18 plus 4. And let me give you good news. All the statements that I'm making have been asked in UPSC already in the past. Without numbers, they have already asked these questions. Why did I pick this topic? I wanted to show it to you that without formula, literally you can answer these questions with common sense. But what are you guessing? What are you getting in the class, Abhi? Are you understanding that there is a certain way of thinking? Are you getting this point? If you don't develop that way of thinking, then you won't be able to answer. For your way of thinking, somebody needs to tell you that this CRR and SLR can be reduced by RBI also. And RBI has reduced it. Has RBI reduced CRR and SLR? Yes. Earlier, this CRR was 4.5%. Uske pehle it was 5%. In last 2 years, CRR has been reduced to 4%. And the moment CRR comes down, immediately that money is going to excess reserve. So from required reserve, the money goes to excess. If CRR goes down, RBI says, I don't need 4 rupees. Tomorrow RBI will say, bhai, give me just 1 rupee. So instead of 4, RBI is taking only 1. So what will happen to the extra 3? It will go here. Are you understanding this point? So what am I doing? I'm giving you an equation that total reserve is equal to required reserve plus excess reserve. Bacho, this is the equation. You should write this equation. And then you should write that total reserve is equal to CRR plus SLR. And here you should write excess reserve. Is it fine? Now what we are doing is we are writing 4% plus 18%. And here we are writing 68. Why did we write 68? 10 rupees gone, no? Loan. So we are writing this. Now UPSC will ask you a question that if, see this, how easy it is. UPSC will ask you a question that beta, if CRR goes down, recently it went down. Matlab money is free from here. So instead of this 4%, CRR becomes 1%. So where will the 3% go? Here. So this 68 will become 71. But total will be same. The moment it becomes 71, the potential credit creation in future will be high or low? High. Because bank can, which money will bank easily give as loan? This money. So what did you understand? That whatever is here, if it goes down, this will increase and it will give more power to the bank to multiply the credit. So what will UPSC do in the exam? They will ask you the question, which of the following will lead to higher credit creation? Answer is lowering of CRR and SLR. Then UPSC will ask you the question, which of the following will lead to higher money multiplier effect? What is the meaning of money multiplier? Speed of credit creation. So if this goes down, this goes down, this goes up, and money multiplier will also be high. Which of the following will lead to increase in money supply? If this goes down, this money will go in the hand of public as loan. Money supply will increase. So what are you learning? That the moment RBI reduces its control, money supply, credit creation will increase. Now I want to ask you another question. So say, are you understanding these points? Is it easy for you now? Okay. So bring out your calculator, please, and do some calculations for me. This is the calculation. This is the final thing is there in your handout. If you open your handout to my online and offline kids, you will easily see this. Dekhiye, see this, please. So you have to bring your calculator out and you have to help me and you have to tell few things. But so in my example, I am giving you a question that the salary received by this person is 95 rupees. Salary received is 95 rupees. Can you please tell me that out of 95, if this person is keeping 30 rupees in hand, and this money that he is keeping in hand, I'm calling as C, capital C, money in hand. How much money is going in the bank? 65. Out of 65, 40 rupees is savings, which is demand deposit, and 25 rupees is time deposit. So can you please tell me what is DTL? 65. What is DTL? DD plus TD. This is DTL 65. Now I'm giving you one more scenario. The moment 65 rupees come in the bank, Reserve Bank of India jumps here and says, CRR and SLR, please. So please calculate 4% of 65 and please write it here. 4% of 65. How will you calculate? Calculator 0.04 into 65. Please do 0.04 into 65 because 4%. 2.6. 2.6. Brilliant. 2.6. Very nice, Utkarsh. Okay. And what is SLR? 18%. 18% of what? 65. So can you please tell me what is 18% of 65? 0.18 into 65. 11.7. This is 11.7. So 2.6, 11.7. Can you please add it? 14.3. So it becomes rupees 14.3. What is the name of this 14.3? ER or RR? Brilliant. Required reserve. Superb. Now can you please tell me, I want to ask this question. Bacho, 65 rupees came here. Bacho, please answer this question. 65 rupees came here. Out of that, required reserve is 14.3. After giving the required reserve, this bank wala person gave 10 rupees as loan. 10 rupees given as loan. So out of 65, 10 gone. Out of 65, 14.3 gone. How much money is remaining with the bank? 40 point? What is that called as? Excess reserve. 40.7. What has just happened? Listen to it carefully again. How much money came in the bank? 65. 65. The moment money comes in the bank, who jumps? RBI. And RBI says, beta, return my CRR and SLR first. So CRR and SLR are called as required reserve. After you give the required reserve to RBI, then only you can lend money. So how much is the lending here? 10 rupees. So from 65, first of all, this RR gone. And then you can give 10 rupees here. So from 65, you have to subtract this and this. When you subtract these two, what do you get? Excess reserve. So now in your entire story, I want to ask you a question. Please tell me, Bacho. Please find out using your calculator a ratio where in the numerator, Bacho, careful, where in the numerator, you are writing currency in hand. What is currency in hand? 30 rupees. And in the denominator, you are writing 40, which is demand deposit. So using your calculator, please tell me what is 30 by 40? 0.75. Now, there is a name of this 30 by 40. It is called as currency deposit ratio. So do you know what is currency deposit ratio? How to interpret this ratio in a story format? The style which I use in the class to teach, the story wala style. The interpretation of this is, listen to it very carefully. The interpretation of this is, it's super easy. Interpretation is, whenever these people get salary, how much money they keep in hand compared to what they keep as demand deposit. So if I'm a person, I have kept some money, I got a salary, I kept some money as demand deposit. And why would I keep demand deposit? Because during festivals, I have to withdraw the money. So if I know I will withdraw the money, I'll keep it as demand deposit. If I know I don't need the money, I'll keep it as time deposit. So this ratio tells me that how much money a person is keeping in hand compared to what the person is keeping it ready in the bank account to withdraw immediately. So if I'm keeping 40 rupees in the bank, which I know I will withdraw, in relation to 40, compared to 40, how much am I keeping in my hand? Because both the money in hand and DD is the money which I will eventually use. So this ratio tells me what is the habit among the people to keep money in the hand. So if this ratio ka value increases, that means people are keeping more money in hand because numerator is this C. So if this ratio ka value increases, which means people keep more money in the hand, less money in demand deposit. So if people keep more money in hand, less money in demand deposit, will the bank be able to multiply credit? So if festival season comes in India, Diwali, Christmas, all those, the moment festival, New Year, these festivals come to India, you will see people having more cash in hand or more cash in bank. More cash in hand. Which ratio? So this ratio will go up or go down during festivals? Up. Because what is the ratio? This ratio says money in hand divided by money in demand deposit. So during festival, this goes up. And whenever people feel bank run is happening, why people, bank crisis is going to happen. What do people do? Put more money in bank or more money in the pocket? More money in the pocket. When bank is in crisis, people withdraw the money. That bank will go bankrupt anytime. So during festival, and when the banks appear to be in crisis like bank run, in all these cases, people put more money in the hand. So what do we do here? This ratio, when this ratio is down, that means people are putting more money in the bank. When this ratio is high, that means people are putting more money in hand. So from a bank's perspective, HDFC perspective, HDFC would like people to put more money in hand or put more money in the bank account. Bank account. So HDFC wants this ratio to be low or this ratio to be high. Low. Because this ratio means how much money you are keeping in hand. So every bank feels that people should keep less money and put more money in the bank. Did you get this idea? And the last ratio for today, it is this ratio. Please do one calculation and tell me this ratio is the reserve deposit ratio. What is the reserve deposit ratio? See, bacho, what is written? Bacho, see the formula, please. What is the reserve deposit ratio? Bank reserve upon total deposit. So what is the bank reserve? I gave you the formula of bank reserve. Required reserve plus excess reserve. Required reserve plus excess reserve. So you have already found what is required reserve. We have already found what is excess reserve. Please add it. So what will be the numerator? 55. And what is the total deposit? How much money came to the bank? 65. So what is 55 by 65? 0.84. So this number is 0.84 because it is 55 by 65. What is the interpretation of this ratio? It's very simple. It's written. Can somebody do the interpretation? So that we'll solve those MCQs and then we'll be done. So somebody do the interpretation, please. Interpretation. Just like I gave you the interpretation of that ratio, that currency deposit ratio means how much currency you are keeping in hand compared to what you are depositing. So this is saying reserve deposit ratio. Reserve deposit ratio means out of the total money that the bank got, what is the total reserve of the bank? Bacho, it's a very smart thing. I want you to focus on the last statement. You are smart kids. If you focus on this, you can solve the question in the exam. Please focus. This is a very powerful statement. Bacho, look at the board and please fatafat tell me. Just tell me in yes or no. You will get your answer. In this bank, the demand deposit, or in this bank, let's say here, the CRR is 2.6, SLR this, which means reserve ratio is this. This is excess reserve. This is required reserve. This is excess reserve. So I want to ask you the question. Is this the money, excess reserve, the money which bank can easily give as loan in future? Or can I make a statement by saying that excess reserve is something which the bank has not yet given as loan? Currently, it has not. In future, it can. Can I make the statement? Awesome. So excess reserve is something which it has not given, but in future it can. Now, can I say the same thing about required reserve? That required reserve is the money which the bank has not given as loan. How can it give as loan? So can I say it in a literature form that required reserve is also the money which the bank has not given as loan to anybody? Yes. So can I say that required reserve plus excess reserve, total reserve is the money which a bank has not yet given to somebody, but in future if RBI gives the permission, it can. Can I say that? So now see the interpretation. The interpretation is that what is this ratio? This ratio shows you the money. Ye dekho, the part of the deposit not given as loan. So 65 rupees came to the bank. Out of 65, whatever is this reserve, 55 is the money which the bank has not given as loan. Because in our story, only 10 rupees has been given as loan. Which means if somebody tells me that 55 rupees is the money which bank has not given as loan, I'll be very happy and say, wow, that means the potential of the bank in future is to give 55 rupees as loan. So this bank has, so they say that bank is sitting on a huge cash. Bank is resting on a huge pile of cash, which means in economies where excess reserve is very high, required reserve is very high, banks have huge potential to give loan. In such economies, RBI can call the bank and say, why are you sitting on so much cash? Bank will say, sir, because CRR SLR is very high. Then RBI will say, okay, I'm reducing the CRR SLR, release the money. So those economies where the bank reserve, required reserve and excess reserve is high, the sum of these two is high, those are the economies where banks are having too much cash which they have not released yet. And if they release, all of a sudden, it might lead to inflation. That is the reason that when RBI sees, my God, the bank reserve is very high, RBI says, wait, don't release immediately, release slowly, because otherwise you will create inflation. Are you understanding the connection? This is the connection. If you only study formula without the story, you can imagine how complicated it will become out to be. But don't you feel that the moment you do this kind of analysis, immediately 2-3 questions should be done to close the argument? Immediately it should be done. So मुझे फटाफट बताइए. I'm asking you a question now to close the argument. Here's your question. Please answer this. See, the question says the money multiplier in the economy increases. But what is the money multiplier? The meaning of money multiplier is credit creation, which I told you, credit creation. What gives power to a bank to create credit? Credit creation means to give loans. What gives power to the bank to give loans? So if the CRR is very high, can the bank give loan? No. So this is wrong. Because it says the money multiplier in the economy increases. Matlab, bank has the power to give more loans. So if CRR is high, you cannot give loan because the money is stuck. So can you please tell me the second the statement that if SLR is high, to my online kids, if SLR is high, can a bank give loan? No, this is wrong. If SLR is high, unless RBI gives you the permission, you cannot. Potentially, yes, but unless RBI gives you the permission, you cannot. So third is increase the banking habit of the people. What is the meaning of banking habit? Go to the bank and deposit money. So if the banking habit of the people is good, they have the habit of going and depositing, will it give power to the bank that, oh, in future I can multiply my money? Yes or no? Yes, brilliant. Last point says increase in population. Yeah, India's population. We are the best in the world. But do we have bank branches? That's the problem. If population is there but no bank branches, how will the bank multiply cash if they don't have a branch? And you know, financial inclusion in the country is questionable. So just having population does not mean banks will multiply the cash. Bank in here, there is no bank. So this is not the correct option. So without using a formula, you can. But my question is this. Solve it, please. What is the first point? Reserve deposit ratio. I gave you the formula of reserve deposit ratio. It is 55 by 65. Remember? It is RR plus ER by total deposit. And what is CDR? C by DD. So the question says, which of the following leads to increase in money multiplier? Matlab, which would lead the banks to give more loan? So if reserve deposit ratio is low, so when would this ratio be low? Suppose RBI reduces the CRR. RBI says, I don't need my CRR. Right? I don't need CRR. I am removing the system of CRR, SLR. Would it help the bank to transfer entire CRR and SLR to excess reserve? Yes. So if RBI says I don't need money, can the bank lend more money and give more money as loan? Yes. Will it lead to higher credit creation? That's your answer. So if RBI says I do not need CRR and SLR, it's zero. Wow, entire money will be excess reserve. Give loans, which means that if this goes down, credit creation and money multiplier will increase. Look at this point, currency deposit ratio. When people are saying we don't want cash in hand, we are putting entire cash in the demand deposit. Good news, bad news. For the bank, good news. When people keep less cash in hand, this ratio goes down. It's good for the economy. So the question is saying, in which of these ratios, when there is a decline, money multiplies very fast? Answer is both. Answer is both. Next question. Suppose there is festival time. Bacho, please answer a question. Festival time. During festival time, ye bata do. Third question. Please tell me the answer of this question. Which of the following situation leads to higher credit creation by bank? So first is increased use of UPI. Suppose India is using more digital payments. So if you are using more UPI, will you put more cash in hand, less cash in hand? Where will you put the cash? Bank. So if you put more cash in bank, your currency deposit ratio will go up or down. What is the meaning of currency deposit ratio? Simple line. Meaning of currency deposit ratio is the money that you keep in hand. So when you use UPI, will you keep money in the hand? Where will you keep the money? Bank. Bank. So if people use more UPI, so banks will get more deposits, which means money supply, money multiplier will increase. Next, during festival season, do you put more money in hand or more money in bank? More money in hand, which means banks have less money. So money multiplier, money supply will be down. During bank run, crisis, will you give the money to bank and say, take my money and you run away? No? Good. So during bank run, what will happen? The money supply will be, or credit creation by the bank will be down, because I have asked the question of credit creation. Because banks will not get the credit, how will they create credit? So it will be down. So here credit creation will be up, down and down. Now, this is what I wanted to tell you, but can you please tell me that, did you understand little bit of this part? Because instead of starting from absolute basics of what is banking, I directly started with something which is considered to be the most difficult part of bank, which is credit creation, money supply, etc. But I deliberately did that because I wanted to give you a feel that you can study economics, you can understand it very nicely. It doesn't matter from where you start, but how you start and how you approach the subject is more important. So do you believe that you can get control over the subject if you do it in the right manner? Just don't get scared of the subject. That's my request. And to those people who are already a part of economics module or who are planning to join, I'm planning to conduct the official lectures from 7th of August. I will start your official lecture from 7th of August. I want you to use next few days for something specific. Now, batata what you have to use. You should use your next few days in looking at PYQs from 2018 onwards. So start from 2018. That's my homework to you. So those who have already taken admission or who plan to take 2018 onwards, go to market, please purchase a PYQ book. You can buy a Arihant book or whatever you want to buy. So PYQs, you need not buy a book with solution. Without solution is also fine, because if you need a book for solution, why will you come to the class? So, and solutions are many times wrong also. So if you buy with or without solution, it's fine. But 2018 onwards, MCQ plus mains related question, I want you to study, and I want you to highlight in your book only, the PYQ book, just like we highlighted today, who are the stakeholders, what is the question being asked, all the words, so that when you come in the class, but I'll tell you something, I have memorized all the PYQs over the years. So when you come in the class, you will see me without taking the book, I'll start to do PYQs. While teaching, I'll drop PYQs one by one. At that time, if you have a PYQ in the hand, which you have gone through, you will find it so easy to understand, oh, we are operating within the syllabus. You will see your syllabus. It will be easy for me to teach you, and it will be easy for me to identify that, hey, drop this. This is not a part of syllabus anymore, and this is the part of the syllabus. So class timing would be 7 only. 7:30, not 7. 7:30 to 10:30. Typically, my classes are 7:30 to 10:30, in which the teaching time is somewhere around 2 hours. The other 1 hour is question, answer, and interaction. So this happens a lot in the class. I will make you speak for half an hour non-stop. I will also speak for 2 hours, but remaining time you will speak. When I give you question, I will ask the answer to each one in the class, online and offline, because you are coming specifically for a subject, so you have to speak. And when you speak, when you give wrong answers, it gives you an opportunity to correct you, and it gives an opportunity to polish you. For that, I need extra time. That is the reason. And to my online students, speaking means expressing your answers. So you will type your answers, and offline you will tell me your answers, so that I know what you are thinking. Now, classes will start from 7:30 in the morning till 10:30. 10:30, I'll leave you. I always take doubts in the end of the class. So, for example, around 10:10 or 10:05, along with MCQs, I'll start to take doubts also. So to my online kids, whatever questions you will type, same day, I'll give you the answer. If some question is unanswered, next day also you can ask your doubts. There is no problem. You will never see us running away from the doubt, because fortunately, I know the subject. So why will I run away from the doubts? So don't worry about it. And the very reason you are coming to the class is to learn. So if you run away from the doubt, where will you learn? Simple answer. So this is one thing. Now, my expectation from you, only expectation is that when you come in the class, make sure that you come in the class like this. A blank page. Because when you come in the class like this, I can draw pictures, you can draw pictures, and together we can create a beautiful painting. But if you come in the class like this, where will we draw the picture? So whatever you have learned so far in the subject, anywhere, it's not wrong, but we would try to reorient, relearn, and redirect everything in a way that helps us to crack the exam. Knowledge is never good or bad. So whatever you have learned is perfect, but we would like to reorient it in a certain way. Okay? I suggest that when you come in the class on the 7th, we'll start the class. If possible, you please have a notebook with margins. Because whatever dictations I give in the class, those dictations are measured. So 10 markers, I give a dictation of 2 pages. 15 markers, I only give a dictation of 3 pages. Few things which have never been asked, I give a dictation of 4-5 pages, so that if it is asked in the exam, you can draw your answers from there. So I give 3 types of dictation: 1 2 pages, 1 3 pages, 1 4 or 5 pages. 4-5 pages for future. But if you carry this type of notebook, it's good for us. You carry a diary every day. That diary is called fact book, where I will dictate things. So every day I will make you write. I will make you write in the fact book also. So at the end of around 4 months with me, you will have a nice fact book ready with not only economics, but a lot of economics, some social issues, constitution, polity, agriculture, so many things will be there. I will not cover anything related to geography portion of agriculture, because those things I think that should be better covered by a person who is teaching geography. But I will cover everything which I feel is connected to economics. Whatever is there in agriculture which is connected to economics, I'll teach that. For example, MSP, etc. I'll teach in the class. Food management, MSP, storage, transportation, subsidies, agriculture subsidy, agriculture input, irrigation, etc. Everything will be taught. But if you ask me to teach how is rice grown or cultivated, that I will not. Because I know it, but I don't feel I'm the right person to talk about it. And I believe that with students, the mentors and faculty should be honest. Like if I start to study 2 NCERT books in biology and start to teach you biology, I think that's a crime. I should not do it. Similarly, somebody who is not an expert in the subject, we know everything, but we should not pass it on to you, because that will be unfair. So I will not teach geography. I will not teach anything which is not in my domain, but anything which falls in economics and constitution related to economics, that I'll teach. Is it fine? Awesome. Cool. No, you do not need to buy anything. No books, no nothing, no NCERTs, nothing needs to be bought. So no homework in terms of books. Just read the PYQs, try to memorize and understand, come in the class. Remaining things I'll take care. That's a promise. So guys, anything that you would like to know, if you are online, you can ask me right away. If you are offline, you can sit with me and we can talk. So to my online kids, YouTube as well as Zoom, if you want to ask anything, definitely I'll answer. So guys, if you want to meet me, I'll be available. And to my online kids, let me see. Yes, Utkarsh, definitely. If you are online but you want to come and attend the lecture offline sometimes, you can definitely come. So let me see what your friends are. Thank you so much, guys, for your patience and participation. So see you another time when I hold another workshop like this. So question is, I have done with the basics, but looking for mains. Definitely, as you would have seen that uh, I'm giving a lot of importance to mains. So yes. Will you cover agriculture? I already answered. Class timing will be 7:30 to 10:30. Approximately 2.5 hours of teaching, 2.5 hours, 45 minutes of interaction, discussion, question, answer. So if you include it in class time, yes. So yes, it is included. So class begins on 7th of August, 7:30 a.m. in the morning. 11 a.m. I called you only for the workshop, so as to give you ideas that how we are going to proceed, how to learn economics, etc. But real class 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. starting from 7th of August. What else is there? The duration of the course is long because of interaction. So if you remove the interaction part, course can be completed in 1.5 months, according to me. But if you bring the interaction part, question, answer, answer writing, that's the reason that the course is long. If you feel that it doesn't suit you, please don't come. Because then you'll feel disappointed because I will do a lot of interaction and answer writing. But if you don't want to do it, then you should not join. But if you do want to do answer writing plus MCQs plus interaction, you want to polish yourself because there are many times when inside you feel you are right. But when you start to answer the questions in the exam, then you feel, oh no, I was not right. In the interview, you fumble. If you want to polish those things, it needs time. And frankly, if you ask me not to dictate in the class, I will. If you ask me not to do answer writing in the class, I will. And these things take time. So that is the reason. And my class pace is slightly on the, let's say, average. Not very high, not very low. Because if we run too fast by assuming that you know everything, how will you learn? So I don't assume that you know everything. I assume that we are starting from basics and then we go to advance. Hence, it takes time. The reason is, for example, suppose all of you would have done your PhDs. I would have taught entire economics in 15 days. But we are here in the class from different backgrounds. I have to make sure that all of us reach that level at the end. So we have to do justice to it. For me, one student is not important, so I have to look for everyone. That's the reason that course length will be slightly lengthy. But topics will be as per UPSC syllabus only. Nothing more, nothing less. So that is the reason that it is like this. And I don't want to rush. Around 4 months means it can be 3.5 as well. Or it can be 4 months and 1 day extra as well. Depends. There will be no holidays, no vacations. So in my first batch, I took off only on 1 day. 4 days you will have a class. So 1 day I was not well. I think that's the only vacation I took. Otherwise, no off. Last year I did not take even a single off. No abrupt cancellation of classes. In the first batch, 1 class, yes, I was not well. But second batch, no abrupt cancellations ever. So in your batch also, no abrupt cancellations ever. Unless it's a national holiday. But last year I did something which, if required, I'll do with your batch also. When we were almost half the way gone, like it was almost like 4.5 months. When it was halfway, I felt that some time should be given to my students to absorb. And then I announced a test. I gave 1 week off, and then I announced a test. Half the syllabus done. So because of that, it became, instead of 4 months, 1 week or 5, 7, 8 days extra. That depends on how your performance is. If I feel you need time and I need to test you separately, 1 week off and full test of whatever I have done, just to keep you on your toes all the time, so that you should be motivated to prepare. You cannot relax in my classes. And if I feel that you are doing well in the class test, normal class test, then I will not give you off. But if I feel that absorption is required, 1 week off. Otherwise, there is no off. Abrupt cancellations never happens. It will never happen unless national holiday. All right. So thank you so much, guys. And see you in the class. Final word, if you ask me, don't join such classes unless you need it. If you need, only then you should join these classes. Like somebody wrote a message that if I'm already good in answer writing, etc., then you should not join. Because you already know you'll be disappointed. But if you feel that there is somewhere you can improve, then only you should join the class. I am a faculty who will never force you. In fact, Vajiram never forces you to do anything, because I feel one should do things based on requirements. And if I feel in the class that you know those things, in fact, I will motivate you to leave the class and tell you go and do self-study, because class should be used only when it is required. Okay? So thank you so much. I'll hold another session like this very soon. Thank you and take care, guys. Good day. Thank you.